Heyo. That's right, guys and dolls. You have found your way to Z Show. Greetings. Climb on in. The water's warm. Get cozy. We have some lovely ladies here. Some pretty swell fellows. Not a bad place to be. Welcome. Who knows? You may even learn a thing or two. I mean, maybe. No pressure. I hope this day finds you well. It's evening for me. It's always evening when I do my shows, but who knows what it is for you? It could be anything. That's the wonder of this technology that we're all using right now. If you're hearing my voice, I mean, unless you're like camped out, like in my room or outside my window, that's a different story. Based on my experience with some of you, that's not completely out of the question. Who knows? But either way, other than that, we're all experiencing this technology. Whatever it is, we're using it. How about we make this technology great again? Was it ever great? Some people think that This technology is basically a modern incarnation of some demon knowledge. Some people think man wasn't supposed to have this knowledge. I'm not sure where I stand on it. I'm not completely sure. You know that whole story? Adam and Eve, the biting of the fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. You know that word knowledge is in there. Knowledge. Some people think whoever created us didn't think we were prepared for this. I don't know. I'm up in the air with the whole thing. I kind of like the whole knowledge thing. But then again, it might not be all that it's cracked up to be. That garden sounded pretty nice. Just wandering around naked. I think Adam had it pretty good. He had a lady. So that was nice. Seemed like there was a bunch of food. Everything kind of was taken care of. But apparently they didn't know anything. There was no knowledge. And here we are with all our knowledge. The so-called Lucifer, Samael, Prometheus, many names, apparently brought us this fire of knowledge. And now here we are with smartphones, laptops, brain implants, trips to the moon. Oh, wait, trips to the moon. Have we gotten that far yet? I'm not sure. Maybe you have to show me some more evidence for that one. But either way, I know we have computers because I'm using one right now. And a microphone, everything. Lights. So I don't know. Do we thank this being who brought us knowledge? Or do we curse him? Did he fuck us over? Would it be better in the garden? I don't know. I guess it depends who the Eve was. Like if Eve was like a nagging sort of insufferable wench, well, the garden probably wasn't that great of a place. Apparently Adam had a wife before Eve. Her name was Lilith. I don't think Adam was too happy with her. So they got rid of her, brought in Eve. What does that say about marriage, everybody? The first marriage ended in divorce. So what does that mean for you in your marriage? Yeah, you could look over at your significant other right now if you happen to be next to them and just ponder that. If Adam couldn't make it work, what makes you think you're going to do it? Come on, everybody. Sorry, it's just the truth. Anyway, much love, all. How is everybody during these very interesting times? Wars and rumors of wars. Uh-oh. It kind of seems like they're getting everybody fired up. It almost seems like it never ends. There's always something. It's either wars or pandemics. So many things. I can't keep track. All I know is it's been the same old song and dance my entire life. And here I am, 45 years after I was birthed into this crazy place, and I'm still here somehow. We didn't manage to blow ourselves up quite yet. It kind of seems like they just want us in a fear state constantly. I wonder why they would do that. Well, let me think. If I were in control and I had a bunch of power and influence, money, resources, what would I do? Well, I don't know, because I've never been in that position, but it seems like they're very intent on keeping us scared Anxiety ridden. Ooh. All I could say is probably best not to play into their little narratives, their little mind control techniques. It's probably not good for you. Because again, it benefits them. Because a scared populace is a compliant populace. As far as this Iran Israel thing, I'll put it like this. I'll keep it basic. This seems to have been in the oven, like baking for a while. Now we're seeing it rise, so to speak. But this is not a new thing. Of course not. Throughout my life, the nation of Iran has been consistently vilified. I don't remember hearing anything good about Iran. They didn't teach us about it, like growing up, which is funny because turns out they have a beautiful culture, beautiful people, history, a rich history, religion, knowledge. Why should I hate them? Why should you hate them? That's the question. Why should we hate anybody? What is it about this Iran? The way I look at things, I take pretty much the opposite of what's being presented to me. So if my whole life they told me Iran was so bad, well, I'm going to tend to think maybe the opposite. I mean, I don't know. I've never been there. Like I said, they don't show me much from there. But from what I can tell, it apparently is a very special place. I don't know. But what do I know? I can't win. I'm not going to win with most people. Because the Christians are going to basically tell me that all the Iranians need to die, apparently, which is weird because, well, that doesn't sound very Christian, but we don't need to go there. We know I have a penchant for, let's say, inflaming the emotions of our wonderful churchianity people here. But much love. Yeah, Mr. One to One says TV is all lies. Z. Well, you said it. Seems to be their main source of propaganda. When one takes a look at the history of television, movies, entertainment, really Hollywood, one will quickly discover, if they are discriminating enough, that Hollywood has been the number one source of their social engineering since its inception. Look no further than the science fiction movies, the presentation of so-called science fiction that actually turned out to be science, which is strange because I know apparently we went to the moon in 1969, but they were talking about the moon missions in the mid 1800s in fanciful stories. Jules Verne and others, which is weird how they got it so right with their predictions. One, that we could go to that place, that beautiful heavenly luminary in the sky that keeps a perfect timepiece. That was the first, like, 1 in a billion thing they got right. not only conjecturing that we could go there, but that the method, means, and the science would all match up, that we'd be able to go there and float, survive, that rockets would work. Hell, that even we would be able to invent rockets. They were thinking of rockets before planes were even invented. I want you to think about that. Before the Wright brothers apparently built their little paper mache and popsicle stick airplane and took that little airplane ride for the first time, like decades before that, they were like already like, yeah, oh yeah, we're gonna go to the moon, no problem. I would have been the guy. I would have been that guy. I would have been like, oh, cool story about going to the moon, but like, are we gonna fly first? Like, can we do that? I mean, I get it. Can we take a hot air balloon to the moon? Who knows? It's goofy, everybody. No need to play into the fear. That's what they want. They want you distrustful of your neighbors, your family members, your brothers and sisters. Division is the name of the game. They don't really care which side you choose, as long as you are invested emotionally, and as long as it serves to separate you from your wonderful brothers and sisters that inhabit this world along with you, who, guess what, you need. Uh, I hope I'm not the one who's breaking that to you for the first time. You need people. You can't exist by yourself. That's not what it is to be a man or a woman. I don't care what they tell you. And I've seen movies about mountain men. I've seen that Jeremiah Johnson movie. I saw that movie where what's his name was up there living in the mountains. It doesn't work like that. You need people. You just go on it. You're going to need people. Would you want to be all alone? What kind of life is that? That seems to be the big rub. Because the way I look at it, humans do best when they're in families, communities, villages, tribes, functional units. But what have they given us? Society, civilization, culture, cult culture. Society, like social. What about communal? What happened to that? In a society, you are individualized, atomized. You're basically isolated. You're homogenized into some general form of what a man or a woman should be. No individuality. In groups, in a family, in a community, your diversity is your strength. It's not like that in a society. They want everybody the same. What do they do in the so-called schools, these public schools that they put these kids in? They teach them the same thing. They treat them as if they're all supposed to think the same, feel the same, speak the same. It's cuckoo. It's anti-human. It's indoctrination writ large. And we all just put up with it. We accept it. I'll say it here. Public schools are abusive towards children. Plain and simple. It's abuse. Oh, but hey, what do I know? I'm just a guy on YouTube, right? Anyway, much love. The moral of the story, Don't be scared. Stop. Don't hate anybody. Don't hate Iran. Don't hate the Jews. They're beautiful people too. The Jewish people are beautiful. I mean, come on. They're lovely. And I don't just mean like their beautiful inside personality, like, I mean, like they're beautiful physically. And the same thing with the Iranians. We don't need to like hate these people. Just stop it, everybody. Get over yourselves. All right, maybe we'll start the show. We'll get this thing off the ground. Some of you were there yesterday when I made a little trip over to our friend, Mr. Nachiketa's channel. And I enjoyed that very much so. We had a very deep, sincere, and intellectual conversation regarding so many things. So much love to Mr. Nachiketa, our friend, who's holding it down in North India. But he's not Indian. I think Nach is South Korean originally. He's American. He has an American family and a South Korean family. He's very broad-based. I mean, as far as I know. All right, let's get this thing going. What do you say? Yes, there you are. Hi, everybody. It's good to see you. Don't be alarmed that I can see you now. My camera's on. It's okay. I won't tell anybody what you're doing. Just continue. Just don't mind me as I'm watching you. Yep, I see you now. It's weird. Official opening right now. Good evening, everybody. Greetings and salutations. You found your way to Z Show. That's right, folks. It is the end of the rainbow, the bottom of the rabbit hole. And as always, we are broadcasting live and in living color around the level, horizontal, topographical plane that we call Earth. That's right, guys and dolls. We are in for a stupendous show, as always. We will very likely meet some wonderful people, beautiful people. That's what we do here on Z Show. We chop it up. We'll cover some great topics. Like I said, you might learn something. But here's what I would ask you to do. Maybe just leave your preconceptions and your beliefs at the door. You could pick them up on the way out. They'll still be there. Much love, everybody. Strap on in for the Z Show. Who's here? Who's here? Mr. One in the house. The lovely stationary pizza coming at you. Angela, baby, Carson, much love. Don't judge me, lovely, lovely lady. As always, Emilios, man, greetings to you. Dr. E. Vals, much love, much love. Shadow Band, good to see you as always. Mark the Arc Spark, coming at you, much love. Mr. Thomas Morgan, welcome. Marky Rizzo, as always, good to see you. Divine Spark Heidi, 313, blessings. That way, much love. Mr. Three Fingers, coming at us from the lovely Palmetto State, which I'm sure is quite beautiful this time of year. QB in the house. Good to see you. Who else? So many wonderful people. So many wonderful people. Sean Alke coming at us from the Great White North. Shifty Eyes Shady. The lovely Bex, a.k.a. Zero. and so many more wonderful, beautiful people. Again, welcome to Z Show. Thank you all for spending your time here in our little corner of the interwebs. And we like it here. We've established like our little place here. And as I said, you truly have made your way to the end of the rainbow and the bottom of the rabbit hole. Plain and simple. There's nowhere else to go from here. You've reached the end of the internet. This is it. This is what's on the other side. You've gone through, you've waded through all the different little corridors and catacombs that make up this crazy World Wide Web, and you found your way to Z Show. And we appreciate it. So much love, everybody. What we're going to do now is we're going to take a short musical interlude. And when I come back, I will have some truthiness for you all as we continue with this endeavor here on this beautiful day. So in the meantime, take it away, Mr. Nathan Sanders. Much love, everybody. Don't go anywhere. Sing along if you know the words.
Wise men say only fools rush in.
Yeah.
But I can't help falling in love with you. Shall I stay? Would it be a sin if I can't help falling in love with you? Like a river flows surely to the sea, darling, so it goes. Some things are meant to be. Take my hand, take my whole life too, for I can't help falling in love with you. Like a river flows surely to the sea, darling, so it goes. Some things are meant to be. Take my hand, take my whole life too, for I can't help falling in love with you, for I can't help falling in love with you.
Thank you, Mr. Nathan Sanders. And I believe I could speak for all of us here at Z Show that we indeed cannot help falling in love with you, good sir. Much love. Good tidings all around, everybody. positive vibrations everywhere. It's about your intention. You must set your intention. You have power. Your thoughts have power. Your thoughts are an energy. They're a vibration. They're a resonance. It's all energy. We know that, though. Don't judge me. Says, Z, Nathan, need to do a duet. Well, we could always do that. I could always bust out more show tunes. Not tonight. We did that last week. All right, let's see what I have for all you lovely folks tonight. Let's see what I have on tap for you. Some good stuff. As always, we'll try to keep it above board. All right, what do I have? Let's get into this first. Since we're talking about frequency, vibration, and positive intent, let's look at the power, the healing power of frequency, of sound. Some people say that this whole reality is made up of vibration, energy, frequency, which is all the same thing. Well, one of the greatest examples of that is the wonderful phenomenon of sound, which is just basically vibrating air, which some people think is ether. I couldn't think it's ether. The ancients thought it was. The alchemists, they considered it the fifth element. So let's get into this. Let's talk about healing frequencies.
Example at the end of this video of why I have my Tibetan song bowl ready and waiting to go for my baby daughter when she's born. There is much about sound, frequency healing, cymatics, and even the building tools we use to build some of these old world magnificent structures. But one thing the old world knew is the power of sound and cymatics in our own body.
So I know it's a little soft, but if you look at the pictures, he's talking about this idea that the old world architecture that we still see even to this day, the ones that haven't been destroyed seemingly intentionally, we see the idea that these grand cathedrals, these palatial buildings, seem to have been built with the understanding of sound, frequency, vibration, and the powers of cymatics. They appear to have encoded this into some of their drawings, as you see here on the floor. What he's evidencing is a grand cathedral that is showing us that they had the understanding of resonance and how sound can be used for particular purposes. Were these grand Gothic cathedrals once healing centers that were integrated into civilization, much more than the religious buildings that they present to us today? Were they actually functional? We see these grand pipe organs integrated into these buildings. We can notice the spires that extend into the atmosphere. Did they potentially have the understanding for harnessing the ionic power, the ionic energy that we find all around us? Did they understand how to integrate the fundamentals of frequency, both sound and electrical, in an effort to heal the human condition.
Bodies. Like I said before, the old world was built like a massive computer, and we were part of that. To understand this universe, you must understand frequency and vibrations. Why do you think they worked so hard to remove all the bells from the old world? Now, as I said in the beginning of the video, here's an example of what frequency and vibrations can do to our bodies.
All right, so check this out. I like how he put this in. Here's a little example of sound and its effect on humans. Now, these are children. Children aren't trained, conditioned. They have no expectation. They simply react, respond.
Turn up the sound and listen with your headphones.
So, for those of you just listening, this parent used a Tibetan sound bowl, which is basically like a bell, to quiet a child instantaneously. The child calmed down. And there's centers you can go to. There's people who practice this. And seemingly, certain frequencies have certain healing characteristics. Because I want you to think about your body and how it can be associated with these frequencies. Everything has a particular mass and density associated with it. Let's say different organs, your kidneys, your liver, your heart. Based on the specifics of these different anatomical structures, they will respond synchronously to certain vibrations. This is the way sound works. You can look into processes like resonance and, again, synchrony to see how sympathetic vibration works. You can even picture it on an energetic level. Your energetic body can be harmonized to certain frequencies. The ancients seem to have known this. This apparently was common knowledge throughout all the diverse civilizations around this world. Again, it appears as though they built their cathedrals, temples, even their pyramids, ziggurats, and other structures with this understanding in mind. This idea that frequency can be used and integrated with the human condition.
Research flatter.
Good stuff there. We've spoken a lot on this show about frequency. Looks like they hid a lot of information from us. In the mid-1800s, they had designs for these machines that employed the understanding of resonance, harmony, and sympathetic vibration. This was understood. The Tesla character, there's a quote attributed to him regarding the power of the 369. people may be wondering, what does that mean, 369? Well, first off, it was not a Tesla quote. It was quoted to somebody who preceded Tesla. I believe his last name was Woolley. The 369 seems to be the key to unlocking the power of unlimited energy, because it's based on the ratio to maximize resonance. 3, 6, and 9. These are the keys to unlock the power of vibration. All right, what else do I have here? Maybe I'll play this one. Let's play the short one about the eclipse. I'm still going through all my eclipse information. I'm trying to sort out the wheat from the chaff. There's a lot of good stuff about the eclipse. We could spend like hours and hours trying to unlock the mystery of this last solar eclipse. But here's one video I thought was pretty valuable. Let me bring this up. This one's called "Where's the Moon During a Solar Eclipse?" There's a few things we know about solar eclipses. One, they've been predicted for thousands of years. Last Friday on Z Show, we showed a book from 1887 that had all of the eclipses. Was either 4,000 or 8,000 eclipses down over the course of hundreds, if not thousands of years. And they showed the North American eclipses that we had, both in 2017 and this latest one. And they were illustrated perfectly. The exact path, the exact time and date. And this book was from 1887. Again, more evidence that it wasn't this new age advanced technology that gave mankind the ability to make celestial predictions. But no, indeed, the heavens have been known throughout the entirety of recorded history. Interestingly enough, so let's bring this up. Again, this is entitled, "Where's the Moon During a Solar Eclipse?" Because we know that whenever there's a solar eclipse, it's on a new moon. This apparently is a feature of the eclipse. This is the feature of the new moon. When the moon is closest to the sun in both of their respective motions, we see a new moon. When the moon is the farthest from the sun, we see a full moon. Plain and simple. This is what can be demonstrated. This is what can be observed. Regardless of any model that may have been presented to you, these are facts. Now, where is this moon, even the new moon, during the eclipse? Let's get into this and we'll review. All right, so I'll read along for those of you just listening. It says, during a solar eclipse, if the moon can be blocked, the total sun, why doesn't the eclipsing moon block the outer glow of the sun? So, firstly, we don't see the approaching moon. I watched the eclipse that happened last week. I watched it with my own eyes. I didn't even have to use those glasses because there was enough chemtrails where I didn't need it. So thanks, I guess. But And I can attest, there was no approaching moon. Anybody could see that when they view the solar eclipse. But here's the thing, if it is what they tell us, even though you might be able to explain to me why we don't see the moon approaching, the larger question that's brought up here is, why doesn't the eclipsing moon block the outer glow of the sun? Let's take a look. Do you see what he's pointing out? So apparently this moon now is starting to occult the sun. We can see it approaching from, let's say, 3 o'clock. But the outer sun rays, the glow around the sun, is not obscured whatsoever. Now try to explain that. Let's continue. It's only when the moon is almost totally eclipsed that we start to see the glowing ring around the sun affected. Very strange. Now he's rewinding it so we can all see it. So I've said it before and I'll say it again. The solar eclipse is amongst the top reasons that the model that they've taught you, the model that's presented to you in all popular media, in their academia, in their education, the model is impossible. It's completely impossible. And the total eclipse proves it. One, this idea here. And two, the demonstrable fact that the portion of totality is no bigger than 100 miles in diameter, which means that if there is indeed an object that's casting a shadow and that's in question, that object cannot be no more. That object can be no more than 100 miles. Because objects casting shadows from the sun do not cast shadows smaller than the object itself. Plain and simple. It goes for your shadow when you're walking down the street on a sunny day. It goes for the shadow of a large building. It goes for the shadow of a plane above you, or a cloud, or the moon. And you might say to me, oh, Z, well, if it's not that, then tell me what it is. And if you can't tell me what it is, then I'm just going to stick to my pre-indoctrinated belief in what they taught me. And I would say to you, well, that doesn't sound very logical. Does it sound logical to you? If I falsify something, am I therefore obligated to replace your understanding with a new one? That doesn't hold up. It doesn't hold up anywhere. It doesn't hold up in a court of law, at least not in any lawful court, one that's interested in justice. It might hold up in the kangaroo court that we see in the halls of academia and higher education, but it doesn't hold up to the laws of justice and the natural law that governs this entire reality. Because when one disproves a thing, there is no obligation to then supply a new proof. I don't need to know what the sun and the moon are to tell you what they're not. And I could objectively tell you that they're not what has been presented to you. Plain and simple. Now they're just showing some more pictures of the sky. So, again, another example of this wonderful phenomenon of the solar eclipse. It gives it away. I love it. Hopefully you either understand this or you're starting to understand this, or maybe you were one of those that were cowered inside during the eclipse, like many of the religious people. The Catholic Church had the entirety of their followers praying the rosary during the eclipse. Here's another thing, everybody. All the doom and gloom sayers around this eclipse. Do you know the eclipses happen all the time? Like every year or two or ish, there's an eclipse. There's just not always one like over America. Sometimes they're over like anywhere else. Sometimes they're over the ocean. Sometimes they're over like big swaths of like Siberia. But they happen all the time. But the fearmongers that were so intent on scaring the shit out of you on this last one, maybe they didn't tell you that. Maybe they'd like to keep you in the dark, keep information to themselves, for themselves, because information is power, and power is control. What else do I have here? Let me get this one off the docket. I was actually talking about this yesterday on Mr. Nachiketa's show. We'll do some Trutherism 101, some old school trutheism. Let me get this up. So, people have an idea about these United States of America, what this place is, the founding of it, what it means. But I always like to present people with a different understanding, an understanding that matches closer to reality, and an understanding that seems to have been hidden from us. So this video is entitled The Masonic Layout of Washington, D.C. And yes, we're looking at, what's his name? Mr. Peterson. No, this is Mr. Maxwell, Mr. Jordan Maxwell. So some people say to me, oh, it's Jordan Maxwell. He's a Mason himself, X, Y, and Z. Okay. But that doesn't make the information any less valuable. So the real question is, why was Washington, D.C. built the way it was? Because you're going to see here that there's a very particular engineering, a particular design associated with this Washington, D.C. Well, let's break it down. First of all, look at the name Washington, D.C. D.C. stands for District of Columbia. If anybody wants to do a little light research, look into what Columbia means and how it's associated with a esoteric goddess that is worshipped within these mystery schools. We see this presentation of Columbia in pop culture with the movie production company Columbia Pictures. Many of us can see that in our mind's eye. In the beginning of these Columbia Pictures movie, what do they show? The lady holding the torch. We can see it again depicted in the Statue of Liberty, which has multiple meanings. You also see it tied into the sun god Helios, the depiction of Semiramis. So there's a lot of occult links that we can pin to this Washington, D.C. The architecture is basically Roman in style. Much of the symbolism and the iconography, again, is Roman. We find depictions of presidents as Roman gods. The names of the river, the Potomac River, the idea that we have a Senate, this goes back to Rome. Let Mr. Maxwell talk about it.
Over the city, looking down on Washington, D.C., you'll see there are two main boulevards culminating in a pyramid. And just at the very top of the pyramid is a street cutting it off. And then within the triangle at the top, where the eye on the dollar bill is the Capitol. And the Capitol building sits there. It's a pyramid. Then it has the Cleopatra's Needle, which is a Washington monument. And the river, the long riverway, the long waterway is called the River Styx, which is where Pharaoh went into heaven on the River Styx. It is all laid out in Masonic symbolism, and the five-pointed star, which is a pentagram, has always been used. Satan worship, satanic worship, the five-pointed pentagram. And if you take the arms off of a pentagram, you have a pentagon. And the United States Pentagon is sitting exactly due north, aiming due north at the North Star Thuban, which is drawing power, according to the ancient Egyptians, for the god of war.
Just take a road map of Washington.
All right, so he was associating with the Egyptians, which predated the Romans. But some will say that the Romans was simply a carryover of this older culture and understandings from the Egyptians, which were in turn a carryover from the older Chaldean / Sumerian culture, which apparently traces its roots back to the Central Americas and the pre-Diluvian advanced civilization of Atlantis. It's all tied in. You have to understand that when we talk about the gods, the so-called gods of this world, they appear to be the same gods, just with different names represented throughout time, throughout the cultures. Whether it's the Nordics, again, the Egyptians, the Hellenistic Greeks, the Romans, and the American cultures, it appears to be the same deities, different names throughout time. Well, the founders of this nation appeared to understand this intrinsically. And for whatever reason, they encode their understandings in the engineering, building, and planning of their major cities, especially one like Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C. is basically an independent, autonomous region with its own laws, its own system of governance. It's basically a city-state, much like the city-state of the Vatican and the City of London, which is located inside Greater London, England. These are regions that have their own laws. They operate separate from the nations in which they're located.
Washington, D.C. Just take a look at it from the air, and you'll see what appears to be the goat of Mendez. And the goat of Mendez,
which is a symbol in Freemasonry.
Right.
So what they're showing, they're calling it the goat of Mendez. It's popularly known as the Baphomet. Look at the motion of the Baphomet, right? You see the right hand up towards the heavens and the left hand down, which is symbolic of the Hermetic principle of as above, so below. Interestingly enough, they have George Washington depicted in the same pose as the Baphomet. Looks like he has a fascista in his left hand. Why were they depicting George Washington as a occult deity? So you see this Baphomet here, common symbol. You see the pentagram above the Baphomet's head as they showed in the layout of DC. This appears to be probably their highest deity. Some people call this deity Lucifer, the fallen one. This is a common theme that I've been trying to impart more and more on anybody who will listen, is this idea that the elite ruling class appears to have a particular understanding of the so-called gods of old. This understanding centers around the fall of these angelic beings, winged beings, that in some way have integrated themselves with mankind in so many ways.
Right. It's a symbol. It's a demonic symbol within the
You
Freemasonic
see the goat
order.
and the horns and the whole thing. The whole city is laid out like that. It's all over.
So what we're basically saying here is that there is nothing happening by chance.
Thank you, Mr. Maxwell. Rest in peace, good sir, whoever you were. It's easy to Monday morning quarterback the original truthers that existed before the internet. We have figures like Mr. Maxwell, Bill Cooper, and others. They were the forerunners to this whole thing. They might have been controlled opposition. I don't know. They seem to have been aware of some kind of knowledge that they kept from us. I don't know. I wasn't there. I didn't know Mr. Maxwell. It wouldn't surprise me if he had connections to some of these secret doctrines, these brotherhoods, these occult mystery schools and fraternities. It wouldn't surprise me. I don't know. Many of their understandings can be found in books that are now found in the public domain. Most of the books were written late 1800s, early 1900s, pre-World War I. You can find that many of the initiates in these schools were writing regarding the doctrines associated with these secret fraternities. The modern incarnation is the Theosophists, or the Theosophical Society. We see their founding in the mid to late 1800s, and it carried over. You see it presented in the previous century, the 20th century, in popular figures like Aleister Crowley. But he's simply a figurehead, a front man. He was aware of this knowledge through the Theosophical Society, through the Golden Dawn, and the Hermetic Brotherhood associated with it, which is basically the carryover of older knowledge that they held. The Masons, of course, and groups that predated them, namely the Order of the Rosy Cross, which is basically the modern incarnation of older knowledge like the Kabbalah, like Hermetics, and Gnosticism. These are understandings that they kept from you. They gave you a 66-book Bible presented via the Church of Rome and then filtered again through the British monarchy with the King James 1606 version. The Bible that they gave us is basically like an intro. It's redacted. Many of the important gospels and books were hidden from you and kept. It's not like the Vatican was unaware of it. They're the ones keeping it. The Vatican Library, the basement, people have come out. They've talked about this. Why does the Vatican have information that they kept from you? What does it say about the people who are controlling you? Probably so many things. Anyway, that was a little bit about the Masonic layout of Washington. Let's see what else is here. All right, let me play this one because it looks like I have some new people here who might be new to the understanding that we do not indeed live on a globular Earth. That just means globe, everybody. That exists in a near perfect vacuum of space orbiting the sun. To some of us here, we're like, yeah, no duh. But to others, this is a mind-blowing realization or understanding, which it was to everybody at one point. Know this when you encounter a flat earther. They weren't always a flat earther. None of us. Or maybe very few. Flat earthers have been around a long time. Like the whole time. But most ones that you run into, they just discovered this like not too long ago. So just know that. And just know that the questions you have are valid because we all had these questions. I had all these questions. It's one of the reasons why I'm so intent on presenting this information consistently and continually, because I understand what it takes to break through the indoctrination, to break through the mental defenses that one will typically employ to protect their previous understanding. Because your beliefs create your identity. Your beliefs create your self-worth. They build your ego. Your beliefs tend to define you. When one's beliefs are challenged, this can be a significant blow to the ego, the identity, the sense of self. But realize this was done on purpose because those in the know exploited this feature of humanity. They understand that about you. They have created a system that rewards compliance. Pretty much they conditioned you to identify in a reality that they created for you, whole cloth, a reality that is unevidenced, non-demonstrable, and that cannot be substantiated. A reality that is merely conjecture, illusion, and fantasy. One that is based on presuppositions and one that collapses when placed under even the slightest bit of scrutiny. So let's get into this one here. This is another example of how water can be demonstrated to lie level and horizontal always. And that's the big one. That's the big kicker. because water can be demonstrated to be level consistently. Water is how we define level, in this world at least. Water has been used as the totem of level since, well, basically the entirety of human history. So let's get into this. This is called Windows of Truth, or basically mirrors are windows of truth. Oh, let me bring this up. Right, water doesn't lie. Nature doesn't lie. And that's the beautiful part about nature. See, that's what science is. Real science. Not science presented to you as a guy in a white coat. Not science personified into an institution, into a journal, into a profession. Real science. The method of science. The method that involves principles of objectivity. The empirical method. Science is a method. It could basically be defined as a method to elucidate the cause of an effect, the effect that you observe as a natural phenomenon. That's what science is, plain and simple. It's a method to find out the cause of an effect. Science needs to be based on experimentation. Experimentation is based on the ideas of being able to observe something, to measure that thing, to test it, and then repeat it. So let's get into water. And one of the reasons why we all know, anybody with eyes to see, that all water is flat and level.
We really know how mirrors work. According to this report from azooptics.com entitled How Do Mirrors Work, maybe a little oversimplified, but light reflects off of everything for us to see anything. A mirror must be a smooth surface. The smoother the surface of the mirror, the better the clarity of the reflection. Now there are three main types of mirrors. First, we have the concave mirror. This mirror is a type of spherical mirror where the reflective surface protrudes inward. This causes the reflected image to be upright.
All right, so as you said, you have concave mirrors is the first type of mirror of the three. And it actually causes the image to be reversed. Let's go to the next type of mirror.
Right, and enlarged in size, but only as long as it's centered on the curve. If you move it to either side, your image becomes inverted and reduced in size, as you see in these pictures. Second, we have the convex mirror. This mirror is a type of spherical mirror where the reflective surface protrudes outwards. This causes the reflected image to always appear upright and reduced in size, as you can see in the picture. Third, we have the plane mirror, spelled P-L-A-N-E.
P-L-A-N-E, plane mirror. The mirror that we all know. We've seen concave mirrors before. We've seen convex mirrors before. They're all around us. But the mirror that we know, the one that reflects things, the one that represents things in proper proportion, without distortion, is the plane mirror, P-L-A-N-E.
This is the type of mirror that most of your household and bathroom mirrors are. It's a flat mirror, hence the name, plane, by definition, is flat and level. The reflected image in a plane mirror is always the same size as the object and upright, totally identical.
Totally identical. We know that. But the point is, the mirror needs to be completely level itself to match the image.
See in these photographs, Simple search. Water, mirror, photograph. So, in conclusion, there is absolute photographic evidence, not just images and cartoons and CGI like NASA gives us about space, but real photographic evidence that all of the reflections on large bodies of water at rest show absolutely no derivations, no deviations, and most of all, no convexity in their reflection. This demands that the mirrored surfaces not only be smooth and reflective, but also the surfaces must be flat and level. Now, that would not be possible if this realm were actually a ball with a radius of less than 4,000 miles at the equator.
See, this should be an intuitive understanding, but there are people, and those people are the top at the top levels of the so-called scientific community, that are telling the world that all water bends, because it has to. Because if it didn't, how could you live on a globe with a circumference of roughly 25,000 miles? You couldn't, because if you lived on a globe with a circumference of roughly 25,000 miles, then of course all water would have to bend. And turns out it's not very difficult to figure out the rate of that bending water, because anybody who knows simple geometry and the Pythagorean theorem can do that calculation. That's what they tell you. But in reality, what could be demonstrated is that no, all water is perfectly level. That's why you see images like the ones we just saw on screen of a perfectly mirrored reflection of mountains, of trees. This would be impossible if this water was bending. Yet another proof of water. And a lot of this is absurd, because it should be a simple common understanding that water is level. This isn't something that we should have to even talk about, but unfortunately we do, because they're telling you that your world is something that goes against demonstration. And that's what it comes down to, because the applied physical science of this world contraindicates what they're telling you. It doesn't matter how much you don't want to believe that you were lied to. It doesn't matter how much you want to hold on to your childish understandings of this world. None of that matters. None of that contradicts the reality that is around you. And if you open your eyes, open your mind, and you could begin to look at this world objectively, you'll find out indeed what this place is. And here's the big secret. Turns out this place is exactly what all the old spiritual understandings told you it was. It's exactly what all the ancient cultures that were highly advanced knew it was. It's exactly the way the Creator made it.
Mirrors on large bodies of water at rest prove this realm we call Earth cannot be a ball. Hopefully everything can now be researched truthfully. If the true Earth were a ball with, quote, gravity holding the water onto the ball, any resting body of water with a mirrored surface would have some degree of convexity, which would be evident in all the reflections.
All right, good stuff, everyone. These pictures are beautiful that he's showing here. Look at this one at the end. That's the Bolivian salt flats. I want everybody to look at this picture if you can. And look up the Bolivian salt flats. It's hundreds of square miles of completely flat, mirrored, reflective surface. Again, impossible. Impossible in the reality that they're trying to convince you that you live in, the reality that doesn't exist. All right, good stuff, everybody. All right, links in the chat for anybody who wants to come up. And I will use this opportunity to take a brief musical interlude, get more of my distilled / reverse osmosis water, because that's the water I like. Not medical advice, everybody. And then maybe we'll chop it up with a few guests. This is your opportunity to come on up, lend your voice to today's show. Hey, everybody, it's that time in human history. No longer can we be ignorant for ignorance sake, because they say ignorance is bliss. That may have been true at one point. But now there's too much information. We're in an age and a time where you no longer have a choice to ignore the world around you. There's too much at stake. The consequences are great. If you're ignorant now, you are doing it willfully so. You are now willfully ignorant in this day and age, and that's unacceptable. So, too bad. You're on Z Show. You're hearing the information that they kept from you, and what are you going to do with it? Some of us think you have a responsibility, not only to humanity at large, your children, your loved ones, but to yourself. Because if you're willing to sell out your eternal soul to this world of shadows and dust, well, then I don't know what to do for you. All right, guys and dolls, like I said, more Z Show after this brief interlude. Don't go anywhere. And please enjoy this classic from the 80s. It's a Z Show favorite. Sing along if you know the words.
Hey guys and gals, get hip with a new craze. Register today for your very own personal 666 barcode implant. No more need to carry cash or credit cards. The price of the goods you buy is now automatically subtracted from your bank account by the computer terminal at the checkout stand. It's fast. It's easy.
Supermarket today. Kathy, don't go to the supermarket today. 'Cause there's a very strange man at the checkout stand, and there's a laser scanner where you put your hand. Kathy, don't go to the supermarket today. Don't go, Kathy, don't go. Without a computer ID, there's no way to pay. Don't go, please don't go. I know there's a sale and a special on rice, and you can buy beans at a giveaway price. But that's just their way to get you down there. What you don't know is that they're everywhere. Kathy, don't go to the supermarket today. Kathy, don't go to the supermarket today. They had a special program on the TV last night, explaining calmly why these things must be done right. They say their new computer is the way to control, but what they didn't say is that it costs your soul. Kathy, don't go to the supermarket today. Don't go, Kathy, don't go. Without a computer ID, there's no way to pay. Don't go, please don't go. 'Cause there's a very strange man at the checkout stand, and there's a laser scanner where you put your hand. Kathy, don't go to the supermarket today. Oh, Kathy, can't you see what they're trying to do? This isn't just a new craze. They want to make us their slaves. Kathy, don't go to the supermarket today. Don't go, Kathy, don't go. Kathy, let's leave while there's still time to get away. Honey, don't worry, just take my hand. We can make it even if we have to live off the land. Kathy, don't go to the supermarket today. Don't go to the supermarket today. Kathy, don't go to the supermarket today. Don't go to the supermarket. Kathy, don't go. Don't go to the supermarket. Kathy, don't go. Don't go to the supermarket. Kathy, don't go to the supermarket. Kathy, don't go to the supermarket.
Kathy, don't go. Good news, everybody. Don't worry. Everything worked out for Kathy. She didn't go. She didn't have to get the the 666 barcode on her forehead or her wrist. She was able to avoid the mark of the beast. And she ran off with her little community of adolescents into the woods to start a new life, a new civilization. Good job, guys. I wonder how it worked out. That was 1985. I wonder how that. I heard that ended poorly. Did you guys see what happened at the the David Koresh thing? I don't know. It might have been Ruby Ridge. Doesn't seem like the government really likes people like running off into the woods and starting their own communities. They don't seem too happy with it. They don't even let you collect rainwater. Apparently that's like a problem. I don't know why. I haven't figured that out. Like, what's the problem with collecting rainwater? I don't know why that's a big deal. Could it be any worse than whatever's coming out of the tap? I can't drink tap water anymore. It's completely horrible. Even besides the fluoride thing, like whatever else to put in there, like the chlorine, it's actually completely horrible. So that's the point. You can't even drink the water out of the tap. They don't let you collect rainwater. It's goofy. All right, much love, everybody. Yeah, like Sarah said, it smells like chlorine. It does. I don't even like showering in it, but I'm not going to like, invest in like a filter for the shower water and the water for like the washing machine. That's too much. Before I let my guest up, I just wanted to recognize a certain member back to Z Show. One stationary pizza. Look who's back. And she keeps saying, I missed you, Z. And I don't know, stationary pizza. Do you know you could always listen to my show? Do you guys know that? Like, even when you're banned from the show, you can still listen. I don't know. I'm just saying. I didn't go anywhere. Much love, everybody. Much love. All right, let me start letting some people up. I got some people in the back. Yeah, I know. 3 hearts back to you, Christy Lee. 3 hearts back to you. She said yes, Z, but I was upset. We're not going to get into it, Christy Lee. We're not. I see you next to Thunder Chicken. I don't like that because I know Thunder Chicken's single. And Christy, we don't know if you're single, but we could just give it like 3 months, maybe 4. That seems to be your rotation for you to be single again. So I am trying to hook Thunder Chicken up with one of the lovely ladies of the metaverse. But I'm not sure I'm completely cool if it would be like Christy Lee. I don't know. That might say something, Christy. I'd probably feel a certain way about it. I probably, sorry, Thunder Chicken. I'm just saying. All right, let's start letting people up. Let's bring up Flow State. Flow State, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I think Christy Lee Dolls is mostly here for me.
I know you guys don't get along, so maybe we'll let that lie, because the reason she got banned last time was something to do with you being up here. So I know
Was
like
it?
you are, yeah. Yeah. So like you're part of that equation somehow.
I had no idea.
She doesn't like when you're up here. People have grand conspiracies in their mind, Flow State. They think
They
that because
have grand presumptions about how far their reach goes.
well, people have grand illusions. They think people build narratives, especially in these communities, which is strange, dude. I have like 5 stories I could tell right now that I'm not going to because I don't want to hurt people's feelings.
Well, can you tell what the conspiracy is that involved me?
Well, like she says, she's going to ignore Slow. She doesn't like you, and
It's
she says
hard
you
when I'm
timed.
on screen.
She says you timed her out
Probably did.
at Jack's when you had keys when you had a mod there, and
Something
probably
like
other
that.
reasons. So, but she's just coming back, and she asked me yesterday. She said, "Zeke, can I come back to your show? Can you unblock me?" And she said, "You know, I'm not going to pull my stunts anymore."
So
but
just
see,
don't provoke her straight out the gate is what I'm hearing.
well, here's the thing. It's because I know she likes me, like schoolyard, likes me, like crush kind of thing. And the feeling might be mutual. I don't know. Like it might be like a 2-way street. So we have
If
some
you're
weird
not going
thing
to pass
going.
off the Thunder Chicken, it might be.
Well, yeah, I want to hook Thunder Chicken up. It's really Rose. So Rose has, an idea that basically the members of the truther community need to kind of get their game on, because there appears to be like a lot of incel action going on, or inaction, I should say. And a lot of these ladies appear to be very ready and willing. And so with all these thirsty guys around here and all these lovely ladies, it only makes sense. And of course, Rose, being the good Jewish woman that she is trying to figure out how to monetize this situation into some kind of, like, let's say, truthy dating app. And I have no, I'm pretty sure she'll pull it off. I don't ever bet against Rose. So Rose wants to hook Thunder Chicken up. We're going to do it on Z Show, but I've already eliminated Christy Lee Dolls because I'm not going to stand for that.
Emilio's man wants to see a picture.
Of who? Christy?
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know if I know what she looks like.
Yeah, well, let's keep it that way. She used to like be more, her icon used to be her in like various states of dress up. Now she's smartened up and she's using a cartoon, which is better for me, mainly.
How old is she, ish?
She's like 30-ish.
Good age.
Which makes her one of the younger ladies, because I have a theory, Flow State. It's not even a theory, it's just fact. Women who stumble into these communities, like, okay, I'm a flat earth channel, let's face it. Any lady who's going to be here is like of a certain mindset, unless they're just here for like other reasons. But you don't see like young 30-year-old women who give like really 2 shits about like certain topics.
Type a 1 in the chat if you're here for other reasons.
Yeah, go ahead. Other reasons.
That would be you, I think. You are the other reason, right?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I'll let you conjecture that, or maybe that's just my imagination. Who knows? But there's a lot. Come on, there's a lot of eligible bachelors. Like I said, incels. Look, here comes the ones. 1, you tell me. 1, Cynthia.
You
2,
tell me is in love with Mitch.
You tell me he's a woman?
Nope.
No, you tell me he's a guy. You tell me was on my show. I featured You Tell Me in my Z versus Globey series. So I met You Tell Me. Apparently, Flow State, some people are here for my singing because they're calling me the songbird of a generation. You don't have to laugh. You don't have to laugh that hard. I mean, come on, man. Like,
it's hard. I'm sick. It's hard for me to laugh that hard. I just start. Don't do that to me, Ancient of Days.
What do you have going on? You have allergies and stuff?
I think so. It's like head pressure, sinus pressure, kind of the cough thing. It's got to be
Probably.
allergies.
They used to call it hay fever back in the olden days. But I know you're like out in Kansas or something. I can't imagine there's too many trees and shit out there.
Actually, I could hit a golf ball into the Kansas River, so there is a lot where I live.
Gotcha. Yeah, where I'm live, it's that time of year. Like yesterday, I was out on my bike, like my bicycle. I'm that guy. I ride a bicycle, and wait, this guy Robert thinks I have the voice of an angel, a fallen angel. Hey, Robert, they said Lucifer had like a beautiful golden voice, and he was like the songbird of heaven. So there you go.
And his beard never grayed, I heard.
That's my secret, everybody. So I was out riding, man, and it was windy, and it was like all like the pollen and shit was being blown right into my eyes, and my eyes were barely open last night by the time I took a shower. It was messed up. So it's funny. Krusty Trombone says, "Can we get a Z bike ride stream?" Interestingly enough, I have the equipment flow state set up on my bike. I have like, all right, let me pass this by you before I bring my next guests up. I have like a bunch of mobile equipment to do streaming. So one of my ideas, and I'd like to get your take on it, is to take the Z show on the street. All right. So to do like Z live stuff where I'm out there with like the same chat, like you up here on the panel and like Harmon and stuff. And then we're bringing people off the street into the fucking whole deal and bringing the metaverse to the street. Now, first question, what % chance do you think when I go into like New York City or like the hood of Philadelphia, like Kensington Avenue with this shit, what % chance that I'm going to walk out of there alive? 20, 30?
Are you going to have your same snarky attitude, or are you going to dumb it down a little bit?
So here's the problem.
You can't turn it off, can you?
Well, I can. So if you saw me, I was on Nachiquetas yesterday, Flow State. I actually posted it in a video in my video section called Z and the Truthiverse. Z visits Nachiqueta. So when I'm like, when I was in his show, there was like a couple of Globies there. And you can even ask Harmon. I'll bring Harmon up. Harmon, welcome to Z Show.
Hey. Oh, you can't see it. Harmon's the one that gave me the name. I'm still rocking. I kind of liked it.
Nice. Harmon, are you there? If you are, we can't hear you. Who knows? Maybe he's swiping left.
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, he's there. Much love. So what I was saying, the flow state, Harmon, is that because flow state's wondering if I have the ability to turn off this snarkiness if I'm going to do the Z on the streets bit. But
I don't think you're snarky. I don't think you're snarky.
Well, you're snarky too, Harmon. You're both snarky as shit.
I think.
All right. Well, here's the. All right. Well, let's ask the chat. Put a 1 in the chat if you think I'm snarky. A 2 if you disagree with that. Go ahead. Vote now.
2 for genuine, 1 for snarky.
Well, that's a false binary. Just if you think I'm snarky, put a 1. If you disagree, put a 2. Oh yeah, Flow State just comes in with a 1. So here's the thing. So Harmon, Flow State's not sure that if I'm on the streets doing the Z thing, because here's what I want to do, Harmon. You probably heard it backstage. I want to bring the Z show to the streets because I think it'll benefit not only the audience, but also all the indoctrinated plebes roaming around the streets looking like a bunch of programmed androids. So it's kind of a win-win. And I think it'll be good content. But I thought of what Flo said. I thought, okay, maybe he's right. Maybe I'm not going to be able, like, maybe I'm going to get jumped by being like an asshole. But I think Harmon, when I was on Nachiquetas this weekend and I was talking to a bunch of Globies, I think I was like very rational. I had my teacher voice on. But Harmon, some people thought my teacher voice was snarky.
It's the teacher voice. I don't even know what it sounds like, and it's necessarily condescending, right?
I mean, do you want me to bring it up and you could vote on it?
Let's hear the teacher voice.
Krispy Kreme didn't think so. He met Krispy Kreme. She's on Flow State a lot. And
you're talking Krispy Treat?
Treat, yeah, Krispy Treat. And she was there. Cream sound good.
God damn.
Krispy Kreme? What?
Krispy Treat. She was there and she asked some little questions. And the other guy, I can't remember his name, But he did real good of getting them to calm down. One guy got kind of excited when he was trying to say, the sun doesn't get smaller. The sun doesn't get smaller.
Was it Joe Cool?
No, it wasn't Joe Cool. He wasn't getting trolled. These two people were actually, I don't know how he got lucky. He got two people who were genuine. That doesn't happen very often.
All right, so I'll bring it up, flow state, and it's not even about like the nature of the conversation. I want you to evaluate my voice because here's the thing. And I'm going to be honest here, Harmon. When I was like talking to those people, I was trying to be very soft and kind and gentle. But when I listened back, I was like, oh, I was like a little snarky. Right? And then I'm like, fuck, like maybe I just can't help being like a ham in front of people and I always have to be in shtick mode. Like
maybe you need to work on your worldview, not your voice so much. Maybe if you stop telling yourself internally, these people are fucking retarded, maybe your voice won't come out sounding like these people are fucking retarded.
Well, he's from Jersey. You got to remember, he's a Jersey guy, and he will relate to other Jersey people on the street. That's how they
right.
Like Dr. House.
I don't know.
You know, Dr. House was British in real life. That wasn't he had to put on that accent. All right, so let me bring this up. Okay, hold on. Again, we're just going to review this briefly, and we're going to let Flow State and Harmon judge elite structure if my teacher voice is not
I listened to the whole thing today.
Snarky. A lot of people liked my presentation on Not Chiquettes. Here's the weird thing, Harmon. When I'm on other people's channels, I can kind of like bring a different vibe because I'm not like performing like a show. So I could bring like the other part of Z, you know, and then some people are like, oh, well, that's the Z we love. Well, okay. Well, what do you want from me? All right. So let me bring this up. All right, Flow State. So there's Notch. I like Notch's hat. He's really going for the North India Sherpa vibe. He pulls it off pretty well. Here goes. Is this snarky? Because I was trying to be genuine, but you're right. In my mind, I'm like, oh, come on.
Yeah, all right, everybody. Everybody mute up. We have an expert flat earther. He's going to explain everything to you guys about how it's working. How's it going, Z? Welcome to the panel.
Hey, Notch. Much love.
Hi, Z. How are you?
Hi, crispy treat, new girl to me. Much love.
Much
How
love.
are you?
So where are we, Notch? I heard Horizons. I heard Dead, Not Dead Astronauts, Shuttle Challenger. Where are we here?
Okay, well, Stanley over here is frustrated with the people whom he respects and follows, but there are flat earthers. So he doesn't understand why people like us are flat earthers on one hand. And then Crispy Treat is still, I think, a little bit open-minded. You know, I think she has a lot of respect for myself and other people whom she's been on panels with. But she's also surprised to hear that, you know, she was like, oh my gosh, I knew you were one of those flat earthers. So they need to be learned a little bit over here. So
isn't it funny how that happens?
Yeah, it is
happens
funny.
sometimes.
I can't
It's
believe
so
there's
funny.
a whole community of you people. It's just crazy.
I know. And it's weird
Yeah.
because a lot of us are really intelligent, well-educated,
Very
spoken,
much so.
and very handsome. I mean,
Very
look at
handsome,
Nachiketa.
too.
He evidences all those things.
Really? I had no idea y'all were very handsome as well. I only knew one, and that was Steve McRae. That was a flat earther.
Hmm.
So, do you know who he is?
No,
Oh,
unfortunately.
that's
But
another. That's also odd to me that none of you know who he is. But go ahead.
interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, God. So the last thing I heard was, why is there a horizon if the earth is flat? And I think that was Stanley.
Mm-hmm.
Are you there, Stanley?
Yeah. Why? I mean, on the sea, the horizon, you can see it.
All right, so I think I was doing pretty good, but then as soon as I went to Stanley, I can tell it started to creep into my voice a little bit. Where I'm like the kindergarten teacher who fucking like hates his job or hates her job.
Yeah,
So
your
like
teacher voice is just slower.
it's just slower, right? Because
That's
it's
it.
like I'm talking to retarded people in
Which
my
is
mind.
patronizing. It's more patronizing.
All right, so you're saying it's patronizing, but I'm trying to explain something to them, so I go to teacher voice. But that's the word that I was missing that I think you just nailed. There's a patronizing aspect, but here's the sad part. I was trying to be sincere, but it still came off patronizing.
Well,
Well, Harmon, now as we're reviewing it, Harmon, do you agree with Flow State that there's a slight degree of patronizingness in my voice?
No, I take it because they're from New Jersey. I had several people in the military from New Jersey. If you didn't know who they were, you think they wanted to fight you all the time. You know?
Right.
But
I don't know how to
people did they
not
have
be
fight?
that.
How many people did they have to fight before they were accepted into the platoon or whatever?
oh, they didn't fight anybody. We you know, we had one sergeant that was definitely hardcore in New Jersey. So you just had to learn them and learn how to they talk. And after a while, it's quite funny because you'd have to start a sentence off. This is a joke. When you're making a joke, you have to tell them it's a joke, or else they're ready to fight you.
I don't know. I think that you should take the Z show on the road and like maybe not Philly, maybe start in like Nashville.
Oh, you mean go someplace a little bit more
Where you get your butt kicked.
A little bit friendly.
Robert says Z just talks down to women. That's tough to disagree with, Robert.
It's because he's gay.
Let's keep going. Hold on. Let's listen.
See, it's not that far away, really.
Well,
And,
let's talk about the horizon, right?
It should be really so. What's the word I'm looking for? So there shouldn't be one there. It should be just like nothing. Not really. You should be able to see the sea, and then you should be able to see land behind that, and you should be able to see.
All right, so he's telling me you should be able to see forever if the Earth was flat. Like, come on. So I'm trying my best. I really am. Stanley, what are you basing that assertion on?
An out-of-body experience.
Wait, so you're basing the idea that there should not be a horizon on a flat Earth on an out-of-body experience? All right, so that was patronizing. So okay. So here's the thing, Flo.
Some of these claims are really stupid, though. Like you could see forever.
Yeah, I know, but see, here's the thing. I want to talk to these people because for whatever reason, I have like the ability to do so. But you're right. If I go out there like a lunatic, I'm going to end up getting hemmed up. But I think the peoples, like let's say, the ethnic peoples, the ones that are in like North Philly and
call them that. Start off by calling them the ethnic peoples. That'll be a great segue.
How about just the peoples? How about brother? I think they'll accept me. I tend to get along with people of color, believe it or not.
I'm surprised you know any.
Oh yeah, I used to live in cities.
I'm
and
just
stuff.
being snarky.
Yeah, I don't have any around me now, but I should have more. I have a lot of Mexican people around me, which means I have a lot of really good food around me.
I miss living in the Mexican part of town for that reason. And tire shops. You could get a new tire put on anywhere for like $10, but only with cash.
Yeah, because they'll take them right off your car as quickly as they put them on.
Right.
Christy Lee wants me to go to Bro Sanchez channel. I did a whole take, Christy Lee, on Bro Sanchez yesterday. I basically accused him of stealing all the white truthiness and just presenting it in a black form. And which is a good idea. That makes sense to me. So my new idea then, Flow State, was to do a similar model, but with the Hispanic people. Mexicans mainly, because I think there's a huge gap in the, let's say, the Hispanic truther world. There's a lot of people. So just like do a Flat Earth channel, but Spanish, do one of these Rights and Freedoms channel, but Spanish. And I think there's a gold mine there. Like I said, Bro Sanchez did it for the black people.
Call
just
it La Tostada.
What's it called? La Tostada.
La Tostada. That's the flat tacos, just the flat shell.
Oh, I like tostadas.
You're not Mexican enough for me.
No, I have street tacos near me. I like tostadas. They're basically it's like a hard version of the taco. Not the taco. Yeah, the taco.
Mexican
exactly.
pizza.
Anyway, most of the Mexican dishes, they're all the same. They just serve them different. One is enchiladas, one's tacos, one's burritos. But it's all got the same ingredients basically. So you're just eating it different versions.
I could ask you about Mexican women, Harmon, because I'd imagine you have a lot to say about that. But before I do so, let's not forget our good friend Party Poet who's here with us. Can you hear us, Mr. Double P? It's the same thing with him every time with that
Every
microphone.
time.
This is the
It's every
microwave
time.
head guy, right?
Of course. We
Okay.
should just call him that.
I was trying to remember how long you microwave for.
Oh, I know all about it. Are you there, Double P? I have some questions for you. He's gone. All right, so when it comes up, I'll ask my question. So anybody who's new to the Z Show, that Mr. Party Poet basically taught us a method to eliminate any MK Ultra brain implants, chips basically, that may have been placed in your head.
Oh.
And one way to do it apparently is to use the process of microwaving one's head. All right, he's back. I've quit.
Which
Can
I
you
think
hear
we've
me?
all done, haven't we?
Can you hear me now?
All right, yeah, we can hear you.
All right.
All right, so listen, I have some questions for you.
Oh, okay.
First of
I
all,
have some questions too.
all right, so me first. First of all, flow state says how long, which I already know. It's 1 second.
And no more.
And no more. Now, he did the research, and he said up to 3 seconds would be the absolute limit of microwaving your head, because after 3 seconds, you might be able to do some damage.
Now, is that
But-
based on how thick your skull is or how wrinkly your brain is?
No, actually, it doesn't matter.
All right, so here's the thing, Party Poet. But for people who missed it, it was not without consequence, because he lost his vision for a good 30 minutes after microwaving his own head. But fortunately, the vision returned sometime afterwards. So that's a happy ending for everybody.
It's a small price to pay for greatness.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
But here's my question for you, Party Poet, because Mr. 1-to-1 was up here, and he brought up a great point. You told us how you were able to pretty much jerry-rig the microwave to function with the open door. And you said basically that you, because you're an electrician, you knew how to divert the circuitry from the door. So you had to do a bunch of stuff with like the wires to bypass the door, right? But here's the question. Why didn't you just take the prongs of the door off of the door themselves and stick the prongs in to therefore simulate the closed door? Wouldn't that have saved you a lot of trouble?
No, because there's latches where the door closes, and they're really rigged up to make the door mechanism really safe. So you have to start rewiring it.
That's the point about the latches. Why didn't you just trip the latch to simulate the closed door?
Well, that's what you're doing.
Yeah, I know, but it probably could have saved you a lot of trouble. Look,
Well,
hopefully
you
you'll never have
the
to.
door open. I mean, you can't stick anything in if the door is still there, right? So you still have to take the whole door off.
Well, yeah, you'd have to take the door off, but I do now feel like a little bit embarrassed because you're realizing that you probably put way more work into this and you probably could have knocked it out in an afternoon.
No, that was actually weeks, if not months, of thinking before I actually did it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, you obviously survived and you're here now.
Yeah. On top of that, you have to remember to disconnect the motherboard from the microwave as well. You just want it to be strictly microwave, as few chips as possible, because they can manipulate the microwave against you if there's chips there.
So wait, you're saying that not only did you disable the door, see that I'm remembering now, but
Yeah.
you disabled the motherboard that has like the timer, the buttons, the levels. You disabled that, but why?
Yeah.
Why didn't you just put it on high and hit start? Why did you have to disable the motherboard?
Well, look at it this way. What a lot of folks don't realize is that before you can sell any electronics or pretty much anything, let's say in the States, Canada is identical, you have to take it to the American Standards Association. You have to pay them a lot of money and leave the product there and tell everything they want about the product, and nothing that is sold in North America can't be messed with by the CIA, because if they can mess with it, if they cannot mess with it, it won't be sold anywhere near you. And I can tell you that because when I used to deal with the Russian ships when I lived in Vancouver, I bought some phones that were used in the Russian embassy to make sure that the Americans couldn't listen in. And the moment I put those phones in on the phone line, along with the rest of my friends, because I bought 15 of them, they just turned off the service to the house. And
All
then,
right, so
and
hold
then
on,
3
hold on.
hours later,
Come on,
and
I
then,
have to wrangle you. I'm not going to let you just keep going. So wait a
yeah,
second.
yeah.
So the moral of the story. So you're basically saying that any product or device that's electronic in nature that's sold within these United States basically has some kind of chip inside used for monitoring purposes. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying it not only has a chip inside for monitoring purposes, it also can be controlled not by the person who bought the product, mostly by three-letter agencies. If it cannot be sold if it cannot be messed with by three-letter agencies, it won't be sold to you, period. So
Okay, interesting.
anytime you hear shit like this lock cannot be picked, or this door cannot be opened, or something super duper safe, it pretty much is for the common thief, but not for the three-letter agencies who already can bypass that,
All right,
or
what do you
you
think
wouldn't.
about these like electronic cars like Tesla and stuff?
Well, I think they're onto a good idea. It's just one. I thought it was bad that you couldn't charge it at home. I thought it was retarded that you have to go find a gas station kind of deal, and then sit with the car while it's charging. That's gonna suck. And on top of that, I think that they blew the battery concept way out of proportion, because if you could charge it at home, then all the money you save on gas, you eventually will dump into a brand new battery 5-10 years down the road.
So you don't think the battery thing's a big deal? Well, you can charge your Teslas at home. I see people do that. All right, so here's the thing now. You're against like monitoring and electronic stuff. Isn't the electronic car the ultimate example of this government overreach?
No,
You don't
I
think
think
so?
I think that's the way we should be going. Period. The fact that they're limited in range is only because they want to build them so they're limited in range. They could make them run a lot further. No, everybody seems to forget that what's his name there? Tesla himself, the original Tesla, built the Red Rocket or some shit like that. I forget what his luxury car was called, but it had the word red in it and rock, and I think there was rocket. But it was the red something that Tesla built, and the engine weighed less than he could pick it up with the whole engine with his two hands easily, and it was able to, and his luxury car was almost as fast as a Ferrari of those days. It had unlimited range, but that
All right, I
technology,
need to look into this
yeah.
thing. I don't even know if there even was a Tesla. What did you mean, like the second Tesla or the real Tesla? What did you mean by that?
Well, Tesla, the guy who lived in the 1900s and died in the hotel room, that Tesla.
Interesting.
Who's
I
the
don't know
guy
who
who
you, I
makes
don't.
the Teslas now? He's not Tesla. You know that, right?
Yeah, I know he's not Tesla.
That's
Oh.
But
Elon Musk. Party
yeah,
Pub. What do you think of this Elon Musk guy? Do you think he's human?
of course he's human. He's just bribed to lie to the world.
So
That's
you
all.
think he's just a puppet? Like he's just kind of a figurehead
He's
for all this
a
bullshit?
a very well-paid puppet.
Well, they say he's the richest man in the world, dude.
He's not the richest man in the world.
I don't
The
think he
richest
is.
man in the, you don't even know. I don't even know who the richest man in the world is, because they're not even advertised. Jesus Christ! I mean, what's his name there? The shithead, the not Rockefellers, but the guys in England, the Rothschilds. I mean,
Right.
if you calculate just what they made off of the English bonds up to present day, it's like $50 trillion just off the English bonds that they bought to fuck over, to gain power over England.
Yeah, I know. Let me ask you, Mr. Party Poet. This chick here, Stationary Pizza, she wants to know why you microwaved yourself. Do you care
Because
to let her know?
No, I was implanted. You can tell if you're implanted. Grab magnets, like disc-shaped magnets, run them across your body. The best place to start is on the shoulder. The easiest place to check is the highest point on your shoulder, furthest out, where the bone from the shoulder meets the muscle from the
All right, wait,
arm.
hold on.
That's where you put the magnet.
Let's back it up, because I've seen people do the magnet thing. I've seen this like on TikTok and shorts and things where they're putting magnets on themselves. So wait, are you saying that it'll magnetize, it'll stick to the implant, or that your body becomes magnetized as a whole?
It sticks to the implant. You cannot make the whole thing out of a material that's non-metallic. There has to be some metal there. If it runs on electricity, which the implant does, there will be some metal there, and that's the metal that the magnet is attracted to.
All right. See, I hate talking about this. This freaks me out every single time, dude.
Yeah, watching a video freaks you out too.
Yeah. I'm not watching your video. I've decided it's still in my queue.
Yeah.
It's still in my queue. I have a queue, everybody, of things I'm gonna watch, and I just keep skipping over your fucking video, man. Because of stuff like this. No, because it freaks me out, dude. You freak me out. Like, I'm not like, I don't think you're like a danger to society, but you freak me out, dude.
Well, no, that's programming. But the next time you talk to someone in England, if you could do me a favor, or from England, like you did last week, I forget for what, I just remember hearing. But
I got a bunch of English people here. Do you want to give us what did he sound like? Can you try to do his accent? Let me hear it, and I'll try to.
No, I do shitty accents. You don't want me to do anything like that.
Why not? It's not hard. I mean, we're going to ask Harmon to do it. All you do is just think of a movie. Like, okay, so if I wanted to do a London accent, I would just think of a movie that I saw, and I would do that. Like, hello, governor. I would just do like Mary Poppins. So when I think of London, I think of Dick Van Dyke and Mary Poppins, because he did a horrible British accent in that movie. But I don't know. The movie seemed like it was a hit. So if Dick Van Dyke could do it, Chim Chimity and all that stuff, you could do it. It's not hard.
All right.
It's extremely hard. I lived there for 5 years and couldn't do it.
You can't. Go ahead. Name any place on Earth, and I'll try to do the accent. Go ahead. Name a place.
Zimbabwe.
What? You can't give me two places, guys. Just one, buddy. Somebody give me a place.
Scotland.
Scotland's like.
You can't do it.
I could do Scotland. It's like, the English are too many. See, I just do Braveheart. Right? So I just do Braveheart. It's like, I'm gonna ride around and we're gonna drink.
Better. That's a little better.
I'm gonna ride around and we're going to go down to the fair, and I'm going to find myself a fine lassie.
That's a little better. The only thing is I can understand you. You can't understand the Scottish.
Scottish people are fucking
They're
weird,
bad.
Man. Is anybody Scottish here?
Scottish brogue.
The next time you do talk to someone from over there, if you could mention if they could get my video into the hands of the French farmers, that would be appreciated.
Yeah, I know you went to farmers, but you should be doing more to get your video to the French farmers. Not just coming on Z Show because it's convenient in between your smoking your joints.
No, I tried.
There's look. All right, I can't promote your video. All right, go ahead. I'm not going to drop the link anymore for your video. But if there's some new people listening, go ahead, promote your video now, so anybody who's interested can get a hold of it, because I know you want people to see this for some reason. Go ahead.
Okay, basically you have to put the name into quotations, and that's called the direct word search, because YouTube is shadow banning the video. And the video is called Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? But wait, you already are. No sales required. And it basically covers a few points. One, that the government gave you a whole bunch of money that they never told you about. And all you got to do is fill out a few pieces of paper and they'll give you the money. Two, that you don't have to go to jail for any crime if you don't want to, because that's the way the law has been set up.
Party
And
for it. You're supposed to. Jaron says by June. You said when you first did this with Jaron, by June you're supposed to have your money. All this stuff be done. Is that
no,
going to
I
happen?
said I'd have my credit cards by June, which I
Yeah.
have
Are you?
now. No, I got the credit cards part. Yeah,
You got the money, free credit cards?
I got free credit cards. Yeah, I got 4 credit cards that are
Hold on, hold on, hold on. I get it. You got the
absolutely
credit cards.
free.
Here's the thing, Party Poet. I've been talking to people behind the scenes. You don't
Okay.
know that. I didn't watch your video, but I've been talking to people about this topic. And they tell me that the government has come calling and locked a number of people up who participated in this, and they consider it fraud and theft. So how can somebody avoid getting locked up 7 years down the road when they don't have the money to pay off these quote unquote free credit cards that we're all entitled to? Because I'm hearing people are getting locked up, dude.
You can. You're playing with a lot of money and you're playing with fire. And if you do it wrong, you can get screwed. But the first thing that they'll do is test you if you really know what you're talking about. And if they show up and say, hey, we want you to give the stuff back, and you give it back.
All right, hold on,
then
hold
you're
on.
the
Let me put you on
idiot.
ice for a second. Let me talk to Harmon. Because I need a voice of reason here, Harmon.
All right.
Am I doing a disservice to my listeners by having Party Poet come up here and espouse this? One, am I under some degree of liability if somebody were to choose this course of action and then have some consequence associated with it? And two, do I have a moral responsibility to protect my listening audience from something that may indeed be, let's say, less than above board? What do you think?
Well, I think Jaron told him, don't come back till you can show me that you got the credit card stuff.
Well, he got the credit cards apparently.
Yeah, but he's using them?
I mean, I guess so.
I mean, we didn't ask him that. No, I just think Jaron finally got, because he does the same thing over and over again. It's repetitive. Until you can show me, I don't want to hear anymore. That's what Jaron finally said to him after a month.
Yeah, I'm sure. It's funny that he was hawking Jaron about this.
Weren't you party? Oh, ask him. Ask him what Jaron and them finally came to. Well,
Well,
Jaron's
I
supposed to
kinda-
be. Did you see what Jaron's supposed to be doing today?
Wow, what's Jaron up to?
Oh, it's looks like it could be kind of big. He's going down to Coronado Island area, and he looked at the time and date sun calc, right? And the sun today is supposed to be going down behind. I can't remember which island it is. It's 70 miles away, but you can't see it ever from where the island is on Coronado Island, except for when the sun's supposed to go behind it today and backlit it. And so that's where.
Oh, I love that kind of stuff. Harmon, you've seen my videos, I know, because you
Yes.
commented, where when the sun goes behind these islands over water, you can see him. Now, we know about Mount Canigou,
Right.
which is 163 miles in France that you can see. 163, and that's documented, Harmon. And you know that's been documented since the 1800s, since they first invented camera, because you don't need a telephoto lens to see that. You can actually
It's a
see it with your
vacation
naked
spot.
eye.
I don't know if you know that. It's a huge vacation spot for people to do that for the last 100 years. They go to vacation on that day so they can see it.
Yeah, apparently it's 2 times a year, like once in
Right.
the autumn and once in the spring or something. It's 6 months apart. But did you see the one I put out today, Harmon? Israel to Crete, 616 miles.
Yeah, I watched Taboo when he put that out a few months ago. It was really neat.
Yeah, because that's not only telephoto lens, but it's infrared telephoto.
Plus, he only had 4 subscribers at the time. I mean, come on. How many people in the world are going to see that, which is just blows people away? You know?
Wait, who did?
That the guy who did the video from Israel, at the
Right,
time,
he's an
he
Israeli
only had
guy,
4
yeah.
subscribers. So he's doing it because he wanted to do the experiment, like you said. He took time. I mean, it wasn't just like, okay, I accidentally did it, like you said in the video. You were right. He took a lot of calculation, infrared, and everything else, and he knew what day to film it, and that was awesome.
Right. So what Harmon and I are saying is, and you can go in one of my latest videos, and I highlighted an experiment done by an Israeli guy presented through the YouTube channel Taboo Conspiracy, in which he uses a telephoto lens with infrared technology, and he views the island of Crete from Israel, 616 miles away from the beach. It was like 100 feet in the air, dude. And again, it's the phenomenon that Harmon referenced. You have to have line of sight from where you are and the distant island and the setting sun. Let me ask you, Harmon, when you heard me trying to explain the setting sun to the Glober yesterday, what did you think? Because there's so many ways I could have taken that argument.
Well, the hardest thing is
so
to make
many
someone,
ways.
Right. Well, he just couldn't. He can't shake the two models. Like you told him, you tried to tell him, you got to get rid. You got to have your mind's a blank slate. This is a whole new concept. But he couldn't. He couldn't separate the globe model from the flat Earth model. In his mind, this sun, no matter what you said, was still bigger than the Earth. And how can you not see it? That he just couldn't. He could not pass that part. His comprehension level was stuck.
Let me ask you, what do you think when you hear people like that? Because here's the thing. I probably was like him at one point in my life. I'm trying to remember when I was trying to work this out. But the thing about me and every other flat earther is we don't discredit the information when we hear it. No, probably nobody gets it like instantaneously, but the resistance that I see from certain people shows some degree of, let's say, hypnotic programming, because I'm often unable to get these people to even step out of their paradigm and say, look, let's imagine that you didn't know anything about this world and nobody ever taught you about what this place is and what the heavens are. Let's just pretend you and I don't know a damn thing, like we're strangers in a strange land, like we're aliens, and we had to figure out what this earth is. People can't even do that. Like they can't.
Yeah, because you got to go to another step. You're still talking like 6th grade level. You got to go to 1st grade level. When you say that, they still don't hear you. You got to say, okay, now when I say this, they say the sun's close or far. We say far and big. Ours is close and small. You got to separate it. You got to get them to really get it. By just saying start over, their mind still won't leave a giant sun. That's the hardest thing I've had, and that's the hardest thing that guy had to do. He could not leave a giant sun in his head, and you couldn't make him leave it. And you did everything you could to make him not see it. Do you agree with me on that?
Well, yeah,
and the sun will be everywhere.
And you can tell he was getting excited. He was getting kind of upset, but I was keeping my cool.
And you calmed him down. You really calmed him down.
Right. Well, here's the thing, dude. It's like I've been through it now. One of the things that my whole experience here has done is it's refined me in so many ways. You know how they say, Harmon, you need to do 10,000 hours of something to become, let's say, a master at it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like where I'm getting with this whole process, because when discoursing with people, everybody's different. Everybody's individual. Like we saw how sweet Crispy Treat was, right? So, and then you could see other people come here, Harmon, and they just want to make fun of me. They just want to minimize me, degrade me, and try to ad hominem attack me in so many ways. So it really is a full spectrum of personalities when we're discoursing with the average person. So each person's different, but there's certain commonalities. And one of them is, like you said, is their belief system tends to override their logic. And typically we're dealing with people who are emotional in a way that they're not in touch with, because what you're really doing when you're challenging some of these things, some of these understandings, is you're going to the core of their identity. And this is what I'm focused on lately, is that they're not really arguing about the facts. They're trying to defend their sense of self. because their foundation is flimsy. They don't realize it, but their self-esteem, their self-worth, and again, their ego has been built and engineered by the control structure, by the cult of culture, in such a masterful way that people now, much like a Stockholm syndrome, they're now tied in to the identity that was created for them to serve the controllers. So that's the thing. It's not about the information. It's about that. How do you bring somebody through the emotional experience of shattering their entire worldview? Because I'll speak for myself, Harmon, and I don't know how it played out in your life, but by me embracing certain understandings, by opening myself and becoming vulnerable and letting my guard down and challenging my belief set, I experienced certain tangible consequences in my life. My life changed. I don't even want to say it got better or it got worse. My life changed in a big way because I was able to open to some of these understandings. This seems to be a commonality amongst anybody who enters these arenas. I'd imagine it was similar for you. I don't know. I know you weren't always a flat earther. And you've talked about it here in the show about some of the consequences. So I already know it. So I get why people reject these things, but it's still not going to stop me from presenting this information. And you brought up Jaron earlier, and I want to bring him up because when I interviewed him, he said something to me that stuck. I don't know if you remember, Harmon. He said that he used to think for years on end that it was his job to convince people of the information that he was presenting. He said that he has recently learned to let go of that expectation. And now he just presents the information free of this idea that he needs to convince people. What are your thoughts on that? And then I want to let another guest up.
Yeah, I told you that before. I said all I tell people is A. This I don't remember. I told you in the chats. I've told you something. I never say I can see too far again. I don't say that. I just say this is what I can see. I can see Catalina Island at 26 miles away. I can see this, and I said that's A. Now figure it out. Here's your formula and stuff like that. If you're really interested, it's not that hard. Here, that's as far as I go. Now, if they ask questions, I'll answer some questions. But if they, if they want to really know and study, I said it didn't take me long. But you know what? Really, freaking my head was so stupid. It's such a simple formula. I don't know the complicated one that you do. I just the one that's simple down version. And it still took me 3 months to get it in my head what it was saying. I had to use the calculator all the time. Now I can just do it in my head. But that's how blocked we are. It's just formula a second grader could be taught. It really is. That's what I'm thinking. What do you think?
Well, yeah, I agree. I talked to so many people on here. Somebody recently told me that they would go through Harmon and they would learn this information over the course of a day, and they would study it. And then when they would wake up in the morning, the very next day, they would reset. They would default back to their previous understandings. And that's the crazy part about it, dude, because, and I say this, and this is why the lie and the deception is so insidious, because they're teaching it to children. Because the way we develop as men and women is we have a critical period in which our neurology is primed to learn, to integrate information, to process it. And it forms not only our personality, but it forms our worldview, our underlying baseline, the paradigm, the lens through which we view this entire reality. This happens when we're very young. That's why I think they're so intent on propagandizing us at such a young age, because then when you reach an age of maturity and you try to challenge your fundamental belief set, it's so difficult because the information is already ingrained.
Yeah. Once my granddaughter was 3, she asked me a question and how they stand on the bottom of a ball. Then when she was 4, it was too late. Between her dad and her school, she already knew it's gravity, and you're the silly grandpa. At age 4, I became the silly grandpa to her, because how do I not know we're on a ball?
Right.
age
So
4.
her
It's done.
her natural childlike inclination at 3 was to say, that doesn't make sense, Grandpa. How could we
Right.
be on the bottom of a ball? By 4, through the programming and the social reinforcement from her mom and dad, it's of course, Grandpa, gravity, and you're so silly.
Right. In
All
1
right.
year, it's wild.
All right, let me let up my next guest. He goes by the name of Mike Cargo. Is that a familiar name to you, Harmon?
No, I never heard of him. If I do,
All
I
right,
don't remember.
let's welcome Mike to Z Show. Mike, can you hear me?
Yes, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate this.
Howdy. Welcome to Z Show.
Can you hear me okay?
Loud and clear.
Nice.
Very clear. Very clear.
I got a good headset. I really do.
Nice. So talk to us, Mike Cargo. What's going on?
I would just like to say I'm a supporter of you, Z, and you, Harmon. Although I don't think you have a channel of your own, do you?
No, I don't.
But yeah, I love watching or listening to the Z Show when I'm at work. Sometimes it's just like, compatriots, people that have like minds. It's a good feeling.
It's a soothing feeling, isn't it?
It is.
You just don't have to be tensed up and like, God, this guy's stupid. Get onto somebody you can actually talk to.
Yeah, somebody that like understands that the world may not be what you were told in school.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Mike. It's one of the main reasons I do this is because people have said to me, Z, I listen to your show and it makes me feel like I'm not crazy and it makes me feel less lonely. And I remember when I was in certain stages of my growth, my journey, whatever you want to call it. And I remember the people that I was listening to who contributed to my experience and my growth. And I'm forever grateful to them. And it feels though I can now serve in that role for others and pay it forward, so to speak, because I'll never be able to pay those people back. The people that were there for me when, like you said, when you're at your job, you listen to me. Like when I was at my job, Harmon, let me ask you, your doorbell rings the exact same time every night. Is that an Asian hooker that shows up? What's going on? Is that your dinner? I got to know, Harmon.
I have a betting app, and my friend from California, of course, you can't bet there. I'm in Nevada, so he sends his picks in every day about this time.
Oh, gotcha. Oh, so it's not a doorbell,
All right.
It's your phone. Got you.
Yes, my phone.
Harmon, if I assume you probably have good inquiries into the betting world.
A little bit. What about it?
No, I'm stuck in the crypto world. I don't know about the sports betting world.
Well, I just do very little. I do. I just can't sit here and do nothing. So I have $5 bets here and there. I do.
What do you bet on,
parlays.
Harmon? Like, what type of sports are you into?
Well, from tiddlywinks, which you don't even know what that is, I found out, to girls basketball. It doesn't matter. No, my favorite is college basketball. By far, my best one's college basketball.
Okay, not bad at all. I had an idea once where to kind of like play the system a little bit. So in college, like you said, Harmon, there's different. Yeah, you have like the SEC, and then you have like the different the leagues, but
right,
the
different
conferences. So say there's 5 teams in a conference. What I thought of doing is just intensely studying those 5 teams, right? Like know everything about them, know every player, know all their stats, and only bet on interconference games. So you're only betting on games where you intimately know both teams. And I wonder if that would like give you an edge. I don't know.
Well, Z, have you not heard about the magnetic hoops?
I have heard about the magnetic hoops. Now, here's the thing. I brought this up on the show before, man. Let me hear your take on it, Mike. Because like when the Super Bowl comes up every year,
there are some YouTubers that are so into it.
Oh my God, the numerology community, which gets big numbers. They have a lot of viewers, a lot of subscribers, a lot of supporters. Everything's fixed to the number. I mean, if the score is 48-24, they're going to tell you why that means something and how it happened. I'm less like that. My mind doesn't go into those directions. And it's the same thing. It was basketball has the magnetic hoops and things like that. Now, I don't put a lot of things past these controllers, but I've played sports. I've
Yeah.
watched sports.
If you
It doesn't
played
seem like it
sports,
works like that. Go ahead.
if you played sports, you know it's not gonna ever be like that. But there is something about our consciousness and the way that life reflects our understanding towards things that we believe and things we don't believe that I could see there's probably some black magic going on with the sports betting arena for sure.
All right, so I
definitely.
agree with you.
How I do it is I try to figure out the story. Well, in my mindset, all the big games, boxing, anything dealing with money, the guys with money are not going to lose money. So I've tried to figure out the storyline. So if it is fixed, I don't mind. It's still a gamble to try to figure out the storyline. I don't believe in the gematria stuff. That's another world. But I believe there is a storyline in the
I think the
Super Bowl.
gematria stuff is like people trying to find something where, like you could try to find something in anything. Like you could say, oh, this happened this day and that means that. But I think it's not exactly like a thing that you want to like rely on.
Yeah, you can find anything. So I agree with you, Seth. I can see like black magic involved in these things, but when it comes to like physical things in the ball and magnets, I draw the line there because it doesn't resonate with me. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I don't know.
Yeah, I
so
agree.
let's add. So Mike,
I don't think it's impossible, but I doubt it. I really doubt it.
Yeah. All right, Mike. So let's get into you, Mike. Let's talk about like your whole thing, where you are, like in. Don't dox yourself. I don't need to know your job and shit. But
I'll
like,
dox myself is my name's Mike Cargo on Discord. If you want to talk to me, that's
cool.
That's kind of all I dox myself. I'm just the guy that you could talk to.
All right. So, what kind of information are you into? How does it affect your everyday life? Because one of the commonalities I find with people who are into these type of things, these circles, is that people get increasingly more isolated in their life, more cut off from the general society. So here's the thing, Mike, and I'm gonna let you go. I used to be, believe it or not, kind of the life of the party guy. I always was a little bit reserved in my private life, but I was able to go out. I was able to experience things. I was able to go to weddings. I was able to go to like fucking bachelor parties and stuff like that and participate in like social rituals. No longer can I do that. I physically can't stand these things. I choose to spend my time otherwise. And a lot of people are like me around these communities. How's your life? How do you maintain certain things?
Yeah, it's sort of why I gravitated to your channel because I see a lot of myself in you. I mean, I never had a doctorate in a science degree, but I had a lot of experience with friends that when I was younger and stupid, and I thought I could talk about anything I wanted to with people that were quote unquote my friends. It's not really that way. I would say that the most important thing is to keep your relationships with your family and friends as cordial as possible, because what you believe might be the truth, but people have a different it's not, we don't live in a logical world, we live in an emotional world. So if you're gonna like backbeat somebody about 9/11, for example, it doesn't really give you anything if they believe the same thing that you do about that specific thing. And what it does is it alienates you from him because he thinks that you are better than him because you believe something different than he does.
That always happened to me. My family says, "Oh, you just want to sound smart because I use the word geocentric." Just use the word oh, you just want to sound smart using fancy words. I said, it's not a fancy word. Is that what you're saying?
It's actually the most important thing that I've realized is that the family and friend relationship is more important than being right 100%, but it's actually more important to just understand the other person, because they have like they're like a soul of God too. Like if you're talking to somebody that maybe doesn't believe the things that you do.
Not my family.
well, I'm still talking. No, I'm talking about my uncles that would never, ever consider some of the things that I believe, and I still consider them my uncles, right? And
Right.
that's kind of the thing that I've realized is like,
Here's the thing, Mike. I like where you're going with this, and I'm trying to incorporate this into my life, and I'm trying to talk about this more. This idea that we should work on bridging the gaps because the gaps are becoming larger in this day and age. I always put it like this: if you existed, say, in a different time, a less technological age, the knowledge was more uniform, meaning to say people had similar understandings. There was only so many books, so many religions. But we live in a time now where there's all little subcultures, there's all little avenues of knowledge to get into. And like you said, no one ever knows if they're right. And to say that one knows a true thing, you probably don't. So this idea of division seems to be what they want us to be participating in. So how do we heal that? How do we bridge the gap? So
well, I would like
go
to
ahead.
talk about the idea of they, because of course I've gone into the idea of they want us, they are doing this to us, they are they, and I would say from my experience they do exist, but they exist in the same world that you do. So when you're talking about they, think about yourself and what you would think about if you were in a position of somebody that you would say was they. I don't know if that came across.
Yeah, okay. So I was going to ask you, are you a flat earther, Mike?
Yes, yes.
So, okay, I want to know, like always, I know Z always used to ask, I'm going to beat him to the punch this time. How did you hear about it, and how long did it take you to say for the penny?
I was one of the first.
Back in 15 and 16?
14.
14. Okay, you were the very first. I used to hang out a little bit with old Matt Powerland. He was one of the first in there too.
I would love to hang out with Matt Powerland. That would be something.
Yeah, right.
Did you realize that Matt Powerland's wife had a camp down in Florida for years?
The one he's married to right now.
I think they actually are not married anymore. But his
previous
wife, Katie.
Yeah, Katie.
Yeah, they had a settlement down in Florida.
Yeah, and they separated there.
I don't know if they're still together or not.
Because he's in Mexico.
She's a fucking smoke show, man. I love that girl.
What? What are we talking about?
I was there when she was pregnant and everything.
Hold on, Harmon. So what do you mean you hung out with like Matt Powerland, like physically, like in person?
Yes.
Like you'd go to what, like meetups and conferences and stuff, or?
No, I go to his place and hang out. I helped him move trash. I helped him clean up stuff. Helped him do his painting when he needed painting. He called me one time. He needed his painting moved that someone didn't pay for. We had to repossess it. Stuff like that.
See,
no way.
I love Matt Powerland because he's like actually a person that does stuff. Like he painted pools. Like that was his occupation.
And floors.
So yeah, he painted a lot of shit. But like what I liked about what he did was painting pools, and it was so like high level. He probably didn't get paid as much as he should have been, but he's an artist.
Well, let me ask you, Harmon, since you knew him well, how did he come across this information? Because he's presented as one of the earliest known on social media to come with this information. Some people say he came out with it in like 2009.
No, he was doing the moon landing for several years before he came out with Flat Earth. He knew the moon landing was fake, and I don't know what time he started with the Flat Earth part.
So people tell me 14, but some people have told me like before that, like in 2009. Well, how did he come across
the moon landing with the Flat Earth?
Gotcha. So what do you think? Okay, let me ask whoever wants to. Let's welcome David to the panel. Much love, David. Here's the thing. How do you think the original flat earthers on social media came to this knowledge? Was this leaked in some way? Is this a soft disclosure? Was it rolled out as some type of controlled opposition?
It's actually a great question.
I think about it all the time.
Well, when I search in this,
rolled it out just to see who's smart enough to figure it out. You know what I mean?
What was that, David?
No, I said that I think they're rolling it out to see who's smart enough to figure it out from amongst the people,
Well, that contradicts the idea that all the elite are evil.
Well, see that, because if like people actually read the Bible, it actually goes into great detail about what they're actually doing. You know what I mean? So
What
it
are they
even
doing?
says that not to judge them, to kind of, you know, it's kind of what Jesus says, not to judge anybody. You know what I mean? Would all you agree to that, or no?
No.
You wouldn't agree that
Well,
Jesus says not to judge?
Well,
he
you're going
does
in the
say that,
religious
but
aspect again. I
Harmon's
just don't go to religious aspect.
Because
anti-religious.
there's a specific doctrine inside the Bible. I would need to find the line, but it's
I
basically
understand
what
it's
the
in the
governments
Bible. I know
agree
the
on,
Bible quite well. I'm just
and
saying
they
I don't
use
believe
that
it.
against the people until it's
Hold,
basically kind of what Z thinks about, where they're trying to produce the Messiah in a sense, you know?
Oh,
You're,
so
damn.
hold
to me, you're
hold
basing
on,
it. Okay.
hold on.
You know where I was going. You're gonna cut me off.
Yeah, so
I
David,
don't mind.
Harmon's going to railroad you for the Christianity thing. I just know he is.
All right.
Give him a
I love
chance,
it, man.
guys.
All right.
Give him a chance. Yeah, as long as you can hack it, David. Just know that Harmon's going to hold your feet to the fire when it comes to anything Christianity thing. But go ahead, make your point. What was the point you're making about like a
Jesus.
test for people?
Yeah, it's basically just kind of like God testing, you know, because this is kind of like a classroom, but people kind of just take life for whatever, you know, just go with the flow, do whatever the hell they want. But in reality, we're just kind of learning, you know, what's kind of going on.
Yeah, David. And this chick
Sorry,
right
I
here,
seem
Christy
kinda, like,
Lee.
jittery, man.
Hold
It's like
on.
my first time ever speaking on here, so.
That's all right. You're
Shit.
doing
Oh,
fine.
yeah.
You're doing great. I would
hold
Nah,
on.
Z and Z, honestly, Z, bro, you're like one of the main people I listen to. You, Truth Seeker, you know, Brian Stavely, all the main people, you know.
Much love. So you listen to Stavely. Did you see Stavely did an interview with me, like a 4-hour interview? Have you ever seen that?
You know, the problem with Stavely, he does 9-hour podcasts. I can't listen to him for 9 hours.
He doesn't do that long. Stavely
just
doesn't
did it
do 9 hours.
last night. He just did 9-hour podcast.
And if Stavely could do 12 hours, I'll watch it. Shit.
I don't recall him doing. I mean, I watch his stuff, and I don't know. I don't recall him doing like 9 hours.
Yeah,
he could do 4 or 5. Well, here's the thing. If he's a flat earther, but his main focus now is Mandela effect. So if somebody's not in the Mandela effect, they're probably not going to be into his most recent content. Like I don't think Harmon's over there watching Stavely, but
well, I'm not.
But anyway,
lying. I'm not lying. His last broadcast was 9 hours.
All right, I believe you. So, a fun fact, everybody: Stavely is who gave me the name Z.
Nice. That's fucking cool.
Yeah.
What did he say? What did he say to you to make you give that name?
All right. So the Z origin story was the way I kind of came out on YouTube. I used to kind of call in to Stavely's show, which is funny because I was trying to go into the archives and pull my original, like the very first Z phone calls on Stavely out, but they're hard to find. And some of them he doesn't have up anymore. So I was a caller on his show, and then I would come on and I'd come on his panels. And he invited me on for an extensive interview. He does this My Awakening series. Anybody who knows Stavely knows he does these My Awakening interviews.
Yeah, that's like my only thing against him is like he has these long podcasts. I can't listen to like a 7-hour podcast.
Well, that's the thing, Mike. A lot of this is the new thing is these panels and things, which is, Mike, you know why? That's why I've been putting videos out. So I go through my old content. I listen to it at triple speed. And then I cut.
Hey, Z, tell us how you got your name Z first. You got derailed from that story.
No, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Tell us
I'll go
about
back to it. So anyway, that's why I catalog my material. So he just came on, and the first thing he said to me in my interview, and I was brand new online, kind of like David, like how David just popped up here, and it's like I've never been on these fucking panels. I was kind of like David, but then Stavely invited me on for like a one-on-one in-depth interview, and he said to me, he's like, "Dude, can I just fucking call you Z? Fucking Zetetics long, And that's it. And I said, yeah, and that was it. He just said, "Can I call you Z?" So that was it for my very first interview.
Nice.
Everybody started calling me Z. And then I just was like, yeah, I'll just call myself Z. It sticks. It's catchy. It's easy for people to remember. So let's just do it. And then I found the Flaming Z, and that became like my brand. But it was all Stavely because
that's awesome.
Here's the thing, Harmon, is that I found my way to the flat earthers slowly and then all at once. So
Well,
it took me from 2015 into 2017 to
I,
integrate the flat earthy knowledge. It took me 2 years, everybody,
well,
until it finally
you
sunk
know,
into my head.
we appreciate that.
So
I wanted to hear what Mike's conversion story was at first. We were trying to get that. If you don't mind.
I probably forgot my story, but I went to Flat Earth 2021, and I drank way too many beers with Stavely. That's all I would say.
Yeah, but you said back in 15, so you said 15, 14. How'd you do it? Because I did my Matt Powerland story, then it went on. Then we lost your how you heard.
Probably the same about you. The only content that was available was Sergeant and what's his name?
Eric
Dubé, yeah. So for whatever reason, I was given that content. You know,
I had Eric Dubé's content. That's what I listened to a lot of.
But
right,
you know,
like that's when like YouTube would like actually give you stuff in your algorithm.
Right,
exactly.
Yeah, but then you look at Math Powerland, and you're looking at something that happened like 7 years ago when he had a stand-up comedy routine about the flat Earth.
No, it was about the moon.
Well, yeah, I
don't remember any flat Earth in it. It was all about the moon and the moon.
No.
Was there a flat Earth in it?
Yeah, you're wrong about this, Harmon.
Even in his French version?
I probably have the file on my computer, definitely.
I believe you. I just couldn't remember.
Yeah, he did a flat Earth comedy, like where he's like NASA is giving you images.
Right, and that wasn't flat Earth.
I created these images.
Right. This image is what supposed to be the picture from NASA going to the moon. He says, "You believe this is from the moon?" It was all about the moon landing.
No, it wasn't.
Okay.
I if I could, I'll give you.
No, I could definitely misremember. But I remember he had a show. He was very good in a comedy show in Canada. He even speaks French fluently, and he even graduated from a Jesuit school up there. And he
well, can we talk about that? Or is that the secret?
What, the Jesuit thing?
Well, they do have higher learning. Even Jaron did a Jesuit connections.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Interesting.
Yeah. And they do. Okay, I've asked probably 1,000 people. I've only had one person answer it, and it was a kid who had just graduated high school from a Jesuit school, and he's the only one that answered this. For right now, who invented the television? Come on, people.
I don't know. I know the radio was Marconi. I don't know.
Right. Okay. The television.
Trump.
Huh?
Trump.
No, the television. That's funny because that's one of the most major things in some countries. It's the law. You have to have a television for their emergency broadcasting. So even in England and India, I know those are two countries like that. And I always ask people who did it. And the only kid that came up with it, the only person, and he happened to be 18, just graduated high school. He goes, "Oh, we're taught that in Jesuit school. It's Farnsworth." I go, "Yep, there you go."
Nice. All right, let's play this. Let's take a trip back in history to my first ever interview with Mr. Brian Stavely.
Oh,
you Z. I'd rather call you Z rather than your first name because your first name's kind of common. If I just call you Z all the time.
There we go.
There you go.
Before we get started, let me introduce my guest. Then we'll give a shout out. Then we'll get started. Yo, what should I call you? Can I call you Z? I'd rather call you Z rather than your first name because your first name's kind of common. If I just call you Z all the time, we'll know who we're talking about. Does that work for you?
Yeah, dude. I like that. Z's good.
Yeah.
Wow, you look so different.
You're
I was
a
on the
puppy.
headphones.
You look like a puppy.
It wasn't that long ago. I mean, it was.
But I know that's how much you aged since you got into this.
Well, here's the thing. I wear a beanie now, and my beard was shorter.
No, I think you look good on his show for sure.
My beard was shorter, and I had my headphones on.
For an Italian.
There it is. Mr. Brian Stavely. Much love to Brian, holding it down for everybody.
That is awesome.
All right, so let me talk to David. I'm going to let Mike and Harmon go. So I got to talk to David because he's not quite as gregarious as the rest of you gentlemen.
And David, I want to tell you real quick. You sounded good, and you got a good foundation, and keep it up. There's
All right, it's fine. If you want to talk to me, I
No,
am
no.
Mike Cargo on Discord. If you want to talk to me,
yeah.
It's
I was
nice
talking
meeting
to,
you,
I was
Mike.
talking to David.
Unfortunately, I'm not on Discord. I need to get on Discord, but now I'll know I could. So I just go on Discord and I could just look people up. I could just look Mike Cargo up. Cool.
We'll
So,
catch you later, David.
all right,
Bye, Z.
much love, Harmon. That's Harmon, everybody. Well, Mike, I appreciate meeting you, man. I appreciate you listening to me. I try to make this show as broad as possible. So, for people who don't know or people who are new, I try to accommodate my material to newbies into this topic, but at the same time, I want to make it entertaining for like the 10th level Jedi truthers like Mike Cargo, who's been a flat earther for almost a decade now, who's probably seen everything single flat earth proof you can imagine. That's one of the reasons why I try to keep it funny and interesting and light. So
well,
that's kind of like my whole thing here.
Hey Z, could I just be like a background character?
In what? Like in my whole Z thing?
Yeah.
Well, you need a theme song.
Well, you could figure that out.
I got to get to know you better, Mike. Me and my audience need to get to know you better before I give you a theme song. Come up and talk to me again, and then I'll have to narrow it down.
I give you that. Hell yeah.
All right, Holmes. Much love. Peace. That's Mike Cargo, everybody. New name for me, but apparently he's been around the community. All right, David, let me talk to you because my inclination was if I kept more people on the panel, you wouldn't be difficult for you to come out of your shell, especially with Harmon fucking ragging on you because he's so
Yeah, if you talk about
anti-religion.
certain things, man, everybody comes at you, man. I know how it is.
All right, man. So much love. Nice to meet you. You're definitely a new voice for me. So let's get into you. So, okay. The Christ thing. What does Christ mean to you?
I mean, that's just kind of like, it's kind of hard to describe, you know. In general, it just means the truth. You know what I mean? Like if you know what the truth is, everybody's gonna mock you, right? Wouldn't you agree?
Well,
on
I
that?
mean,
like if you know the earth is flat, right? You already
here's what
are
I say.
against a bunch of people. Yeah, go
Here's
ahead.
what I say, David. He said, I am the way, the truth, and the life, and that the truth will set you free. And I always say this to people who come at me, because the funny thing, David, is the people who come to me that are Christian, but at the same time believe that they
They're
evolved
cherry-picking,
from
man.
a
They have like the biggest basket.
Well, they believe that they evolved. They believe that they evolved from a single cell amoeba. They believe they exist on a planet that's an insignificant speck of dust in a never-ending galaxy. He said so. They have this idea in their mind of, yeah, I believe in Jesus and I believe in God, but at the same time, they're still buying into all the science, which means they're actually just believing in science.
I mean, what I see from what the Bible says, there's kind of like a structure to this life. And if you see certain things, like if people are here in this chat and they see that, and then they know that the earth is flat, then they're meant to see it. You know what I mean? Now, what they do with that information is up to them. But in general, like the biggest thing that God says, like during these times, is to not judge nobody, even like the politicians, right? At first, I fucking hated them all. It's just how we are. You know, we go through school, we get brainwashed, we come out pretty much almost fully retarded. You know what I mean? And then some of us kind of just stop paying attention to school. Then we have our own life. Everybody goes their own way. But in general, some people wake up and then we're here. You know, the ones that kind of stray off from the programming. You kind of follow what I'm saying?
Well, there's a thing called red pill rage, and I know I went through it. Well, because when you first wake up to these things, and I think a lot of it is their engineering, because when I was first trying to like figure out what this place is, when I was opening my mind to things, I was inundated with, the whole pedophilia thing, the elite bloodline rituals that they do, and it gets real dark really quick. And there's a tendency to react emotionally to it because, of course. But I think one needs to progress through those things because
Yeah, if
It's
you get
not.
caught in those, it's kind of like its own echo chamber, and then you'll get stuck there, and then you get left behind, basically.
Well,
So you just got to
exactly.
keep
And then
moving. You got to learn little bits from everything to kind of arrive to the bigger picture. Because if you get stuck, then you'll be kind of like, oh, I'm just for Trump, or I'm just over here, or I'm over here. You know what I mean? Like, that's not the point.
well,
The point is just to keep going forward with what you learn.
to me, it's just always about consistently challenging one's belief system. If you can keep challenging your beliefs at all times, you can avoid those type of traps
But
because
see,
it just
that was
becomes a
that was the
trap.
thing that I wanted to talk to Harmon about in a way, but not. It's just on a live stream for the first time. It's kind of hard, you know. You feel a lot of pressure as the first time.
Well, what did
But
you want to
like,
talk to Harmon about? He tends to listen
well,
to
he was
most
saying
of the
about like
show.
how I first brought up, you know, maybe what these people are doing, they're just meant to do it, and we're here to learn. You know what I mean? To learn the difference between good and evil. How kind of like how
Right.
the book of Ezekiel kind of it all defines out. You've already kind of been through it on your other videos and stuff, you know. But in
Right. Like you're
general,
saying, like they're playing their
let's say
role, so
that
to
let's
speak.
say
NPCs
that
for our
that narrative
growth,
is the true
like permanent
narrative.
NPCs for our growth. Put there in
Yeah, but I
posterity
wouldn't. I mean,
pieces
but
that we
that's the
can
thing
grow
where Jesus
and
says
get
don't
over them.
judge. That's the thing where Jesus kind of says don't judge. You know, no matter what, even if somebody's fucking stupid, like beyond belief, you just let them be. And then he says don't
Because they're
trespass
going to be
against
used
sinners.
to make you stronger in the end, right? As
Yeah,
you
you
go
use
over.
them, but you don't use them in that way. You know, you don't judge them, you don't look down upon them, and then he also says don't trespass against sinners. So like everybody here is a sinner to a
Well,
point.
because love hopes all things, so you hope that they
Yeah,
could
but when he says don't trespass
understand.
against sinners, he means kind of like don't trespass on their beliefs. So like if somebody is so clinging on to like the COVID that they believe it to be real, don't keep pushing it on them because you're going to drive them insane. You're going to cause an argument, etc. So that's kind of what Jesus means when he says don't trespass against them. You know, you can kind of mention it, plant the seed, but if they're going to go against you no matter what, don't fuck with them because then now you're kind of
Oh, I
creating a
think what we're
problem. You know
talking
what I mean?
about is the blasphemy against the Holy Spirit, which means
Yeah,
to
exactly. That's what I'm
not
saying. I'm
to
trying to talk about the
forgive.
bigger picture
So
in general, but it trickles down.
if people won't accept peace, you can't do anything about it, and that's the unforgivable
Yeah,
sin.
exactly.
Because how can you?
Because I think with the story of the Bible, the story of the Bible is written on in a. I mean,
Seek peace
it's
with all. I
it's
hear you,
God that
brother. I
it's
hear
God
you.
that
Seek peace with all. Peace with all. Seek peace
yeah.
with all.
But the
Right?
way that the Bible is written is like it's describing like Christ got killed in the past, right? But it's really describing the future, but we're experiencing it right now. So in essence, it's like a singularity. It's all happening right now.
Oh
And at
yeah,
this
yes. Oh wow. I know, brother. And in the same space, spatially.
yes, it's all happening. It's all happening right now, literally, like right now.
Yes.
Like if
Oh,
people don't
I'm
believe it,
totally
like step
in the present,
outside and
brother.
just take a
You
breath of
got
fresh
me.
air, and maybe wake up a little bit, because you know what I mean. But that's not that doesn't mean
Yeah.
to scare people either. You know what I mean?
Oh no. Think.
Because
Think and breathe.
if you go against what you're being taught in real time, it's only gonna get worse for yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the people that believe the
Yes, I
shot,
do.
they go with it. Then they're like, "Fuck it," I believe them. Let me just take it. That's fine. If they want to do that, you don't judge them. Let them do what they want to do. But you learn from them. If you already knew it and you kind of made them aware, but you let them be. You know what I mean? And it's just
I
kind of like
do.
that. That's kind of like
Let
what it works. That's kind of
them
what
make their
Jesus tries to
choice.
teach people. But nobody
Yeah,
loves
the
that
word
type of
says
peace.
let
So
them.
that's the only thing that unifies
Yeah.
everybody.
Let them know it's a lot, or let them know what you believe. Right? This is what I believe, and and then
Yeah, but
leave it at that.
at a certain point, at the end, when the truth and the lie come together, a lot of people that believe the lie in some form it's not good,
It never
then
is. It never is. That's why we make
the
sure
lake
that
of
we
fire.
say
And
the truth
you
is
want
this.
you don't want to judge people. You want to like remove as many lies as possible from your mind. If you believe a lie, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that you believe something that's a lie, but kind of try to figure it out. You know what I mean? And then that's the biggest problem with the truth communities. Is they're all stuck in a certain spot where like they're arguing about whether
Yeah.
it's flat or it doesn't matter, bro. It doesn't fucking matter. You know it's flat. But if you don't know it's flat, at least it's not what they're saying. So move on, and then just keep going through the Bible. Read it for yourself. And
It's
you
people.
understand why the lie. What's the point of the lie? Because there is a point for them lying.
All right,
And then
here's the
that's
thing.
when you get to the point, that's where like the whole switcheroo comes.
All right, hold
All
on,
right, go ahead.
David. Here's the thing. People get attached to their
I got a lot to
ego, and what?
I
What?
got a lot to say, yeah. I got a lot to say, bro. But the ego, yeah, I killed my ego like 7 times, bro.
How did you kill your ego?
Large Joe's
I mean,
mushroom.
this last one, I kind of like God showed it to me on Easter. What was the whole point of the lie? The whole reasoning. I mean, it even comes down to my name. It's kind of weird, bro. Like this is the kind of the stuff that I want to talk to you more in private. Yeah, I would more want to talk to you one-on-one, like Z, later about this. But for now, we'll talk about the other stuff, like what we're talking about right now.
I'd rather do it here because then people could benefit from it. People don't contact. David. I don't have like private conversations with anybody. Like it's 0 people.
Yeah.
Not even like Rose and stuff. Well, barely Rose. Like Rose has my text message.
I'll be better than Rose, man. With the information I'll give you, I'll be better than Rose.
Well, why would you keep it between me and you? Why don't you share it between this lovely audience?
Me and you? You can say it to whoever you want, but
all right, like give us a
want to
taste
see
of
the
like
opinion of somebody else that's kind of like near my level, if I want to say it that way.
All right, hold on. So give us an understanding of, because we don't, we can't be here for like next 10 hours, but like give the audience, don't deprive the audience. They're ready for it.
I'm not deprive the audience. Would you be able to say, Z, that you've seen a man rise from the dead, like with your own eyes?
Well, some of the stuff I don't like to talk about, the things I've experienced, but put it this way, there's a reason I came to some of these understandings in my life. I've had some, let's say, supernatural experiences.
We'll only be talking about me, but it's kind of personal, you know what I mean? So that's why I kind of wouldn't really want to just start here. I will let you in on some of the stuff, and then streams whenever after. But
yeah, there's a lot of I've seen some things in my. Here's what I say. There's a reason I've come to this point in my life, and I always tell people this. I know the supernatural is real because I've experienced it. So that kind of, and I know Morgan, you're the same way, which gives us an insight, because that helps me when I talk to people, because if they've never had certain experiences, it's hard for them because they're trying to intellectualize something that's more of, let's say a mindset, a mentality. So it's difficult. So it gives me like a perspective on people, because I know certain things are real. Like I don't have to like in my head like think about like what God would be. I'm like, oh, I've experienced supernatural things. I know it's not just this material world. Oh, I know they're lying because I know there's like a whole nother existence that we're not aware of, a whole nother realm. But that's a whole different story. So I get it. David Thunder Chicken says, just fucking say it. Thunder Chicken wants you. Are you there, David? I think we're losing you. No, there he is.
I was paying attention to something else. So.
It's all right. All right, I got to get to the news. I'm here every night, guys. Just come up, talk to me again, all right? Much love, Morgan.
All right, see you soon.
Peace. All right, ladies and gentlemen. I got to get on to the news. If not, the show just goes way too long. And then we'll just be here forever. I was trying to tell David, I don't talk to people in my personal life. Like, nobody. Rose is the only one who has my contact information. And don't give it to anybody, Rose. I probably should get a Discord, though. Like Mike Cargo said. That's probably not a bad idea. Or a Telegram or something like that. There's enough like apps now where I can get in touch with people easily. And not, have people texting me and things. I was always the worst at that. Like, I'm the guy, if you leave me a message on Facebook, I might not ever return it. And if I do, it might be like weeks and months later. People get pissed. I know. That's why I cut myself off from digital communication, because I don't play on the same level. Like, people are texting all day long, back and forth, consistently, nonstop. And when I don't, like, people get like offended by it. So I'm like, oh, okay. Like, I need to deal with this. But either way, much love, everybody. Let's move on to the fake news that they're presenting to the populace as real, which is always strange. Like, I call it news, and people say to me, "Oh, Z, you know it's not real, right?" I'm like, come on, where are you? What show do you think this is? I get it, but I like to see what they're presenting to these people. It seems like a bunch of nonsense. And I don't want to like sit down and have like, I don't want to sit here by myself and like read the fake news. I'd rather do it here with all you. Then we can experience together and I can make fun of it. So with that being said, ladies and germs, it's time for news. In tonight's top story, Congress grapples with foreign aid after Iran attack on Israel. An Iranian attack on Israel over the weekend has put new momentum behind a stalled congressional effort to pass billions of dollars in foreign aid to a pair of key U.S. allies. Yeah, they're just so interested in giving foreign aid out to Israel, out to Ukraine. Let me ask you, how are you doing, everybody, in your life? What does your town look like? How's your kids' school? Do you send your kids to public schools? Do they have everything they need? How high are your taxes? What are your tax returns going to be like, people who file? Today's April 15th, P.S., just saying. I guess my point is we're just so comfortable because it's been normalized that all our hard-earned money just gets funneled out to these foreign nations in their wars, to these governmental contractors. What do they call it? The military-industrial complex? That's all it is. They're taking your money, your hard work, your resources, and they're putting it into these things. Are we all just okay with that? And guess what? More than that, they're taking your money and they're putting it in their space presentation program at the tune of $70-some million a day. That's a lot of money coming out of your pocket. And we're just supposed to be okay with this. That's the whole thing. Let's continue reading about this. After months of delay, House Republicans said on Monday they will take a different approach to get the issue across the finish line. Put funding for Ukraine, Israel, and Indo-Pacific allies up for a vote on their own, plus a fourth bill that will include several other unrelated GOP foreign policy priorities. Those include provisions to seize Russian assets, to distribute them to Ukraine, and to force TikTok's Chinese parent company to sell it or face a practical ban in the United States. So they're going to ban TikTok and they're going to seize Russian assets. Hey, welcome to America, land of the free, home of the brave. Well, It's not very free if you're like anybody else but American. Turns out it's not even that free if you're an American. Look, I hate to sink anybody's I hate to burst anybody's bubble. People who still hold on to the idea that you live in the greatest nation in the world. Does it really look like that anymore? Oh, Z, name a better one. Name a better one. Oh, you want to play that game? How does that justify what's going on here? What right does any American have to seize an asset from a Russian person? That's insane to think that that is somehow justified. It makes no sense whatsoever. Why should your tax money be used in a fight against Iran? Oh, Z, don't you know? They hate freedom. Have you seen these women? They put them in burqas and they run around and cut people's heads off if they don't bow to Mecca 5 times a day. Really? You think that's true? You can't see past the propaganda? I want people to break their indoctrination. One of the reasons why I get on here and do this. Hopefully my voice can begin to reach more and more people in this. You don't have to agree with me on every little thing. You don't even have to like me. But that doesn't change the fact that you have been presented with a reality that does not hold up. Your understanding of the world you live in has been engineered. So you don't care that your tax money goes to fund Israel or the Ukraine. Even if you disagree with the position, you still all let it happen. We all let them spray the skies every single day right in front of us. Nobody does anything about it. How much longer? You think your vote matters? Come on, everybody. It's way past time to wake up. In other news, the Lyrids begin this week. How to see the first major meteor shower of spring when it peaks. A week after that stunning total solar eclipse, the Myrid meteor shower is about to give skygazers plenty of reasons to once again look towards the cosmos. One of the oldest known meteor showers on record, the Lyrids, has peaked like clockwork every late April for thousands of years. You heard that, everybody, right? For thousands of years. Just like the sun rises and sets for thousands of years, like clockwork, just like it says. Just like the moon goes through its cycles, like clockwork. Just like the astrology, just like the eclipses. The skies don't change. They haven't changed for all recorded history. Weird. But I thought we were moving. And I thought all the other things in the sky are moving. And I thought they're moving really fast. Oh, but they're really far away. Really? How far? Oh, the closest star is 25 trillion miles? Trillion with a T? 4 light years away? The closest star? And we can still see it? Yeah, that adds up. Let me continue. And while the peak won't be occurring until Saturday, you still have a chance to see the soaring meteors beginning Monday. The best part? While the April 8th eclipse was only viewable in North America, the Lyrids should be visible pretty much around the world. Much love to this Lyrid meteor shower in April. Maybe I'll check it out. You gotta love it. Again, like clockwork. The heavens are clockwork for us. The Bible tells us they serve as markers for the seasons. The heavens don't change, everybody. Let's move on. From the New York Times, how to avoid one of the deadliest forms of skin cancer. When spring turns to summer and warm weather lures more people outside, skin cancer may be the most distant concern, but experts said it's important to take the risk seriously. The ultraviolet rays in sunlight are a leading risk for skin cancer, which will affect 1 in 5 Americans over their lifetime. That includes melanoma among the deadliest types. All right, so I'm not going to give medical advice here. I certainly wouldn't do that, but my whole life, they've been trying to get me to be scared of everything that's natural. They tried to get us all scared of the eclipse. They've been trying to get me scared of the sun, scared of everything. Do you remember how they scared everybody in 2020, 2021 about a deadly virus? You remember that? Should we all be so scared? Look, we all made it this far. Humanity is still here. You're still here. You want to live your life in fear? It begs the question, why is the news? Why are the movies? Why is this society so bent on keeping you in a state of angst? What is with that? It seems purposeful. I'll let you answer it. I've answered it a number of times. It just begs the question, why? All right, guys and dolls, that'll do it for tonight's news and for another Z show. Much love, everybody. Monday. Coming off the weekend. Hope you all are well. And thank you for being here. And as I like to say, if the fates are willing, we'll be back here tomorrow. Same Z time, same Z channel. Peace.